So here we go to the bottom of the ninth inning with DeCinces, Hendrick, and Schofield. Roger Clemens trying to go all the way and square it at 2 games apiece. To deep left center field. Henderson goes all the way back. Gone! Tough decision right here. But McNamara has made it. He wants Giraldi. He goes the other way to left field. Rice misjudges the ball, and it's over his head, and the 3 runners are all together. Schofield rounds third, scores, and the Angels get a big break as White winds up going to third and Pettis to second as they wind up doing some great base running.
He's thrown 3 straight fastballs. As I said, I would doubt he's going to throw anything but the best pitch.
And he throws it inside and hits him to tie the game. He threw an off-speed pitch and winds up hitting him. And Reggie's coming up with the game tied. Of all things. Grounder, Barrett knocks it down, recovers, gets him. And we go to the 10th. But all of a sudden, a 3-run rally. The game is tied, and we go to the bottom of the 11th inning. And Jerry Narron comes up for the first time in the playoffs. Drill to right field, base hit. Cut off by Evans to hold him to 1.
You talked about your 24-man roster. You expect a bunt, you can't pitch.
And he lays one down, and Buckner fields and goes back to Barrett covering, and the winning run is at second. You're hopeful of setting up the double play. Bobby Grich, the right-hand batter, is coming up with runners at first and second and 1 away. So there is Grich, who came up in a key spot and struck out of the ninth.
What set up the strikeout to Grich was the same pitch that got Schwally into trouble, which was a breaking ball, but he got it over to Bobby.
Ripped into left field down the line for a base hit. Narron around third, coming in, and the Angels go up 3 games to 1. Street clothes among those celebrating with the Angels. ABC Sports presents the 1986 American League Championship Series. From Anaheim Stadium, Game 5, the Boston Red Sox against the California Angels. The pitching matchup, Bruce Hurst and Mike Witt. A dramatic come-from-behind win for the Angels last night, who tied the game when Brian Downing was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the 9th inning. And then the Angels won it on this 11th inning drive to left by Bobby Grich. The Angels 1 win away from the pennant. Nice day. Sunshine in Southern California. Temperature expected to climb into the upper 70s and more than 60,000 once again. We'll look on at Anaheim Stadium. They're very hopeful of a big celebration when this day is done. I'm Al Michaels. Welcome to Game 5. The Red Sox are fortunate indeed that it's a best of 7, where this the old days, the way the playoffs were formulated through 1984. It would be over by now, but they're still alive, though they must win 3 straight. And of course, the mathematics are quite simple. The Angels need win only 1 of 3 to win their first ever American League pennant. Let's go back and recount some of the highlights last night. The score was 3-0 Red Sox, and things looked very much in order for Boston, and it appeared that a 6th game was guaranteed. Clemens was working on a shutout when Doug DeCinces led off in the bottom of the 9th inning with this home run. So that spoiled the shutout, but the way Clemens was throwing, Boston appeared to be in a relatively comfortable position. But Clemens would subsequently give up a couple of base hits. He'd come out of the game with 1 out, 2 on in the bottom of the 9th inning and yield to Calvin Schiraldi, his teammate at the University of Texas a couple of years back, and the man who's become the closer in the Boston bullpen. Then Gary Pettis came to the plate, the switch hitter who's having a brilliant series, and Pettis drives one to left. Jim Rice started over, then back, slightly misjudges the ball, contends that the lights may have played a part in it. And by the time he gets the throw in, runners are at second and third, and the score is 3-2 as Dick Schofield comes sliding across the plate. An intentional walk, loading the bases. So bases loaded, tying and winning runs aboard. There was Devon White, the pinch runner, the tying run. Gary Pettis, the winning run. And Rupert Jones at first base. 1 out and a couple of strikes on Bobby Grich. Grich at this point was 0 for 4. And was 0 for 5 after a fastball was blown by him for the strikeout. So the Red Sox were still an out away and then a strike away from winning the game, because the count was 1-2 on Brian Downing, who had taken 2 hellacious swings trying to hit the ball out of the park. And then Schiraldi tried to throw what he called the worst pitch of his life. John McNamara this morning said he tried to throw the best pitch of his life, a curveball that hits Downing and tied the game 3-3 in the bottom of the 9th inning. And that set the stage for Reggie Jackson. And the headline writers across America were ready, because this is the kind of moment Jackson lives for and has responded to through his career. And he hit the ball very hard with a lot of topspin, and Marty Barrett made a very fine play. Got in front of it, didn't panic, picked it up, threw him out, and that sent the game into extra innings. Doug Corbett, meanwhile, was sailing along, did a brilliant job in relief, held the Red Sox in check, and then Schiraldi, with the score 3-3 in the bottom of the 11th, gave up this ringing line drive single by Jerry Narron. As the winning run, Narron stood at first base with nobody out. He was bunted to second, and after an intentional walk, here was Bobby Grich, who was 0 for 5. And Grich drills it to left field for a base hit. Narron being waved in by Moose Stubing emphatically, scoring the winning run, the dramatic come-from-behind victory, California winning it by a score of 4-3, and pandemonium at Anaheim Stadium. The scene afterward, the Calvin Schiraldi agony. And by the way, just a note about Schiraldi, who stood up to everybody after the game and answered all of the questions last night. A real class act in a terribly desolate moment for that man. And of course, the jubilation etched on the face and the countenance and the body language of Bobby Grich, with the base hit, the high five with Doug DeCinces, and the celebration at Anaheim. So that was the story last night. I'm joined now by Jim Palmer. I guess the big question today, how do the Red Sox rebound from that agonizing loss?
Well, there really are 2 ways to lose games. Or the games that you get blown out, similar to the 8-1 in the first game, and then you get the bitter defeats, as you said, of last night. And of course, down 3-1. I was in that situation in a 5-game series. You hope that you get good pitching. Bruce Hurst is big game in game 2. You hope he goes out there, does his job. But I think the Red Sox, really what they have to do is get on the board early, get a big lead. They really haven't won with a lot of offense. Basically, if you look back at that ball club, it's a club that's always been able to bludgeon you to death. But they have to make some plays in the field. Again, the unfortunate incident of Rice misjudging the ball, losing in the light stand, it puts California right back into the game. They just have to play better today.
Delighted to be joined today by the Winder, Don Drysdale, on our pregame show. Let's go down to Don, who's with John McNamara.
Thank you very much, Al. Well, John, I know what that sickening feeling can be, and it had to be that last night. How do you turn the troops around today?
Well, Don, we have been here before. We've fought adversity all year, both on and off the field, and we know what we have to do. We have to win to keep going, and we will be prepared.
John, is the lack of hitting, the lack of power surprising to you?
Yes, you have it. That's our main problem, Don. You know, they talk about the pitching and everything that happened last night and through the first 4 games of the series, but we aren't getting men in from third base with less than 1 out. We are not sustaining innings, and that's what's making it. We're making it tough on ourselves.
If you have to go to the bullpen early today, knowing that there's no tomorrow, who do you go to? Who is the first man?
Nipper will be the first man out of there, and followed by Crawford. Sammy Stewart got hit in the knee with the line drive. yesterday in bat practice. So, and then Stanley and Sambito. It would we'd have to really be in a bind before I'd bring Schiraldi back.
And if you did have to bring Schiraldi back, did you have a chance to talk with him to prepare him for this game today, should he come in?
Last night and again this morning, yes. He's, we had two 24-year-old young men on the mound last night. Clemens got his adrenaline flowing, made a couple of bad pitches to Schofield and Boone, and then Schiraldi tried to throw the best slider of his life and hit Downing and allow the tying run to score. But they're growing up. You know what it's all about.
I do, John. Good luck.
Thanks, Don.
Right now, let's go back upstairs once again to Al Michaels.
All right, thank you, Don. Let's capsulize the National League, and we'll do that when we check in with Tim McCarver live in New York when we come back.
Shea Stadium, a rather barren and desolate place today here on Sunday, where yesterday, Saturday, Len Dykstra thrilled 50,000-plus fans with a two-run home run to lead the Mets to a 6-5 victory over the Houston Astros. And tonight, on a cloudy evening, about 52 degrees, the Mets will take on the Astros in Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. Hi, I'm Tim McCarver. And a lot of controversy surrounding Mike Scott and his split-finger fastball. Of course, he defeated the Mets in Game 1, 1-0. Some people think that pitch is legal. Other people think it's illegal. And I had a chance to talk with Doug Harvey, who was behind the plate in Game 1, and these are the words of Doug Harvey, the National League umpire.
This man had found out what a split-fingered fastball was, and he had started honing it last year. He has complete control of it. I've had 5 games this year. I've had managers ask me to check the ball. I've never once found a scrape on it. In my own honest opinion, and that's all I had when I came here, was honesty, and that's all I'll leave with. My own honest opinion, the man is not a cheater. He doesn't have to. He makes that ball explode with that split-fingered fastball. The split-fingered fastball is the greatest advantage to a pitcher since they discovered the slider. It's the closest thing to a combination slider-spitter you'll ever seen, and it's done legally. Roger Craig came out to me during a game and asked me to check the ball. I checked the ball. About the second time, I went to Roger and said, Roger, I don't know what you're up to. He said, Doug, I taught this guy how to throw the split finger. I know what he's throwing. I'm trying to bother his brain. So, in my own opinion, the man is an honest pitcher with great talent.
Well, Doug Harvey checked the ball last Wednesday night at the Astrodome, and you'll have a chance to check the ball tonight when the Mets meet the Astros in Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. It'll be Scott and Fernandez. Now let's go back to Al Michaels in California.
All right, thank you, Tim. And back in Anaheim, we're a few minutes away from the start of Game 5. It'll be Bruce Hurst against Mike Witt, who will try to close things out. The Angels, born of expansion in 1961, have never won a pennant. Reggie Jackson has been here since 1982, now in his 5th season. They came close but lost in the playoffs to Milwaukee in '82. And Reggie talked a few days ago about finishing the job.
We've never been able to close. We had a chance in '82. We blew it 2-0. We were up, and I say it just like that. In 1984, we got beat. In 1985, we lost, or we blew it. So again, here we are in the playoffs again, and we've been here before, and we need to prove to people, the fans, the media, all over the country and all of baseball, that we can close the deal.
And they'll try to wrap it up today. And Don Drysdale will be back to talk with Angel manager Gene Mauch when we come back in a moment.
Well, Gene, you have been in this position before. You've been right up to the wall, and you have not got there. Any special thing that you talk to the boys about today, or just say go play?
Oh, not really, Don. You probably know me better than anybody in the world does, and every putt I hit, I think it's going in the hole. Every time I put this uniform on, I think something good going to happen. There's never any negative approach to anything, and our guys they feel good about themselves. They know this club's loosey-goosey over here, going to wheel and deal. It's going to be a tough fight. We know that.
And, of course, going in 3-1, as you mentioned earlier, it might be a little relaxing factor to Mike Witt.
I kind of feel that way. I think that Mike felt extremely nervous the first game when he pitched in Boston against Roger Clemens, and it was the first time that we'd seen that all year. but fortunately he was able to take that nervousness and channel it in the right direction, and he was very effective.
Gene, we've talked about home field advantage. Your ball club has been noted coming from behind late in the year. So many times you did it the last couple of nights here. How much of a factor is it playing here today, trying to wrap it up?
Well, I think it's a definite advantage. I think that the Boston players know who side these people are on. I think that could have a little be a little disadvantage to them, and I know that our players know where their hearts are too, and it's an advantage to us.
Gene, good luck.
Thank you, Don.
Go back upstairs once again to Al Michaels.
Thank you, Don, and the folks who painted that bed sheet, hopeful that that man, Gene Mauch, can win his first ever pennant in his 25th year of managing. And the man who will try to bring it home for him today is the 18-game winner who pitched so brilliantly in Game 1, Mike Witt, the right-hander of the California Angels. I spoke with him yesterday. Mike, if you would, can you reflect back on your performance in Game 1?
Well, I was very excited before the game started, and going down and warming up and everything just got me more pumped up because the fans were all over me down there. But once the game got started, I got through the first inning all right, and that was the main inning for me because I got over some jitters there, and we came back and scored some runs later on, you know, early in the game, and that just calmed me down even more. And I pitched my type of game, mixed in a lot of curveballs, and threw some fastballs when they weren't looking for them, and you know, I was on my game that night.
You had a couple of spotty outings coming down the stretch. Was there any apprehension in your mind in terms of being fully ready for Game 1?
No, because all through the course of probably the last 2 or 3 starts that I had in the regular season, I was gearing myself towards Game 1, and I don't know if I'd say I'd look past those games, but I was getting ready for Game 1.
What has been the key or keys to your recent development to become one of the top pitchers in the American League?
Well, I think I set a goal for myself before the season started, and that was to be consistent. I didn't set any number goals or anything like that. It was just to be consistent game in and game out, and I did that this year.
What about your relationship recently, and since I live here, I see it in the papers in recent times with the LA press and the media and the way you've been treated by the media? Do you feel at this particular point that as you look back in the past that you were mistreated, and what about the relationship right now?
Well, right now, you know, it's pretty much the same. I think people around the country ask me questions, and they want to know what's going on because they don't realize what the LA press does out here. But maybe it's just a case that I read the LA papers. I don't read everybody else's. But you know, it's just something that I've held a grudge, I guess you might say, because of the first 3 years of my career when either somebody put too many expectations on me and it got in the press, and then I didn't live up to that, and then they jumped on that, or maybe I was just crummy and I didn't really know it, but I didn't think I was really as bad as they made me out to be.
He was very good the other night, and that man will have to be very good today to keep the Red Sox alive. Bruce Hurst will be working for Boston, and we'll come back to Anaheim in a moment. And at Anaheim now, set for game number 5, the Boston Red Sox, the California Angels. I suppose an appropriate time for a summit session in Iceland, because the Angels are attempting to reach a summit of another sort, their first American League pennant, and they go with their ace, Mike Witt, today.
Well, they certainly do, and I think this thing that John McNamara said in the pregame show, manager of the Red Sox, is really you have Marty Barrett, who's bat second, having a great series. I think a key today for the Sox, when you can go back and look at Wade Boggs' year, he's been on base 45% of the time. He hasn't been able to do that. They've kept him off base. If he gets on, Barrett continues to hit well, and then you have Rice and Baylor and Gedman and Evans, all who hit better on the road. And I think the most important thing is this is a great ballpark to hit in, especially in the daytime. And the ball flies out of here. But Mike Witt, he also, if you go back and look at his best strikeout games, 11 early in the year, 16 2 years ago, so he likes a pitcher.
And the California Angels taking the field. Bruce Hurst will be working for the Boston Red Sox, and their lineup today looks like this. It'll be Wade Boggs leading things off at third base, then Marty Barrett at second base, having a great series. Bill Buckner trying to get hot. Jim Rice batting fourth as the Red Sox again go with the basic same lineup. Don Baylor is the designated hitter. Dwight Evans is in right field. Rich Gedman is batting seventh. Tony Armas, the center fielder, hitting eighth, and batting ninth is the shortstop, Spike Owen. So Boggs will lead off, and then we'll see Barrett, the two flip-flopping in the batting order in August. And Barrett, having a great series, talks about hitting second as opposed to leadoff.
Well, it's been really great for me because I'm the type of guy that likes to move the runners around. And Boggs, if there's a man on first, he's been first and third in them all year long for me, and that's one of the reasons that I got 60 RBIs this year, and it's a credit to Boggs. And then to have a guy like Jim Rice or Bill Buckner hitting behind me, I'm going to get some pitches to hit. The teams are going to say, hey, let Marty Barrett beat you, and not Bill Buckner or Jim Rice. And so I'm going to get the pitch to hit. And so I've had a lot of opportunities to win ball games like that, and I've come through in some, and I've also blown a few.
The Angels defensively today, it'll be Downing, Pettis, and Hendrick. The infield of the Sensei, Schofield, Burleson, and Gritch, with Gritch at first base again. Wally Joyner is progressing well, had a good night. The antibiotics are working, but he's not here today. And if they go to a 6th game, then Joyner is expected to play in Boston on Tuesday. And with Boone catching, it's Mike Witt on the mound. And there is no question as to who's going to win the Cy Young Award in the American League this season. Roger Clemens, just a sensational year. And again, just to reaffirm the point, the balloting is already done. The playoffs have nothing to do with that award. Rocky Rowe heading the crew of umpires today as he works the plate. But in any other season, they'd be talking about Mike Witt as the Cy Young Award prospective winner. Jim, certainly a candidate.
Oh, he certainly is. And if you go back and you look at a pitcher like Roger Clemens on the East Coast and Mike Witt out here on the West Coast, you always have that division. Different writers saying, well, we think Witt is better. Of course, 24-4 is better than 18-10, but has not been supported that well, but certainly was in the first game with 8 runs. So if you give him a lot of runs, even though there may be a tendency to relax with a 3-1 lead in games, he's awfully tough. He pitched extremely well, only 5 hits, had a no-hitter going into the 6th inning. As he said, mixed up his curveball and a changeup and an overpowering fastball as you take a look at the old Cowboy Gene Autry.
And the Angels very much trying to win it, not only for themselves and the fans, but that man who has owned the team since it came into the league in 1961. So on a bright, sunshiny day in Anaheim, here we go, Game 5, Wade Boggs, Marty Barrett, and Bill Buckner against Mike Witt in the top of the 1st inning.
So one of the few mistakes that Witt made early in the game in Boston was a leadoff walk to Boggs. So again, as Barrett said, if Boggs can get on, it makes his job a lot easier, and it makes it a lot more difficult for Mike Witt.
1-0 the count. Wade, the batting champion in the American League this season, hitting .357. Another pitch outside. 2 balls and no strikes the count. And Witt behind on the count, 3-0 to Boggs, who not only hits but walks a lot.
107 walks on the year, and really this is why he makes such an exceptional leadoff hitter. Can't run that well, but will get on base for you. Doesn't mind taking pitches. That works both ways. Obviously advantageous as a hitter. It makes enhances your chances of walking, but also makes the pitcher, Mike Witt, work a little bit harder. Has to throw more pitches.
That's in there, 3-2. With his walks and his hits combined, there's such a thing as on-base percentage, and you see the figures as Boggs at .453 led the league. And what that means is you're getting on about 45% of the time. Fouled away, 3-2. So that is a tremendous on-base percentage. And the 3-2 pitch is chopped foul at the plate.
Pretty good illustration right there what makes Mike Witt so tough. As we said, fastball about 92, 93 miles per hour, but goes 3-2, a couple of fastballs that Boggs fouls off to the left and then comes back with a curveball. So he's not afraid to throw that curveball at any time. And you talk to Gene Mauch, the manager, he says it's one of the best curveball he's ever seen, and Gene's been in baseball many, many years.
3-2 pitch is hit on the ground to the right side and backhanded by Gritch, who goes to Witt covering. And with Joyner in the hospital and Hendrick in right field, that's not a bad play.
Well, it's an excellent play, and we saw Bobby last night make an error at second base, then get the game-winning hit after striking out 3 times. Ranges to his right. Has played first before. And this is a spring training play. You see, you go down to a workout every day, the entire spring training, and it works to get the first out.
On a similar ground ball last night, you'll recall Hendrick playing first base and spelling Joyner. Thought about it, then broke back to the bag, and it turned out to be a base hit and led to a couple of Boston runs as Barrett fouls it away in the count 0-1.
George was joking about it. He said, what kind of friend is Wally? When he does that to me, he says, he was going to get my vote for Rookie of the Year until he made me go out there last night. Of course, then you have Clemens and Schiraldi, and Hendrick did not have a particularly good night either, throwing about 95 miles per hour, and he's swinging when the ball's in the glove, so it was a tough night for George.
Fouled away again in the count, 0 balls and 2 strikes. Mike Witt trying to pitch the Angels to the pennant, and what a thrill it would be for him in so many ways, including the fact he went to high school at Servine High in Anaheim, which is very close to Anaheim Stadium. Got fisted, grounded down to second, and with Grich moving toward the ball, it's Witt again who covers first base. So Bobby looks good on one play, then some confusion on the other, but he's bailed out by Witt. Burleson to Witt, 2 down.
Well, as a pitcher, anything to your left, you automatically need to break. Again, the reason the ball got by Hendrick last night is he didn't go. Bobby commits himself, can't get to the ball, but as you said, Witt is there. That's the way it's supposed to work.
Bill Buckner is the batter, and Buckner, one of those having trouble getting on track. Bill, of course, was slumping toward the end of the regular season, and it's just carried over. His overall mark during the regular year was 267. 2 out, bases empty in the first. 0-1. Well, 1979 World Series hero, Wilbur Dornell Stargell. Well, now coaching with the Atlanta Braves. I get the feeling you might remember his exploits, Mr. Palmer.
I had fairly good luck with him, but I remember Scotty McGregor with a lead in the 7th game of the '79 World Series, and Willie just went deep. What he did so well. Long home run.
Down the line in left field, and a tough play for Downing on the run, and he can't get there. Brian Downing, I love the way he plays the game. We talked about how hard he plays. He plays left field like a linebacker, and that's not to disparage him, but he crashes into walls. Downing's a man who, in his very first major league game, on the very first pitch, he's playing third base for the White Sox, attempts to grab a little looping foul ball, bangs into the wall, and is hurt to the point that he winds up on the disabled list. 1 pitch. And he's played the game that way ever since. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. Toward Downing, and a more conventional type play. Boston gone in order. We played a half. Red Sox nothing, and the Angels coming up. Bruce Hurst, who beat California in Game 2, talked earlier about those in the California lineup who give him trouble normally.
If there's any one player, it'd probably be the Senseis, and plus he's been so hot the second half too. Grich is a type of player that'll give me problems too. Guys that can put the bat on the ball consistently, don't strike out very often, and have a little power. You know, those are the guys that give, I think, anybody a little, you know, some problems. But it's Grich and Senseis, the right-handed power of the lineup, are the ones that I really have to concentrate on.
And the lineup he'll face today has Burleson leading off at second base. Schofield moves up to the 2 spot. Downing batting third. The Sensei, who gives Hurst trouble, but he had 1 for 4 the other day. Grich at first base. Grich had 2 hits off him. Reggie is in the lineup as the DH, batting 6th. Hendrick hits 7th. Boone batting 8th. And Gary Pettis in the 9 spot. The outfield of Rice, Armis, and Evans. Boggs, Owen, Barrett, and Buckner the infield. Gedman catching. And Bruce Hurst, who scattered, and I guess that's the only word to use, when you give up 11 hits and you go all the way and win, you have scattered them.
Well, I think the key thing, though, when you look at the line score, is that he did not walk anybody, and that's something you don't want to do in Fenway Park. You don't want to do on the road. It's an interesting thing about his record, though. 8-3 going into that second playoff game. So now it's 9-3 at Fenway, only 5-5 on the road. I think one of the reasons that he is successful, good fastball, good curveball, used to throw a slider but had elbow surgery, so he doesn't do that anymore. And a great forkball is that hitters have a tendency to try to pull the ball. And if you try to pull Bruce Hurst, which is what you'll do in Fenway, you're going to get yourself out. Here, where the ball does carry a little bit better, especially on a hot afternoon day, they're going to try to hit the ball the other way. And maybe that's what hitters try to do. Maybe that's the philosophy they have against Hurst away versus home.
2-1 pitch. Grounded down to Barrett at second base. And there's one away. Marty Barrett. Barrett's the kind of guy, he's having that type of series where you get to watch him play every day. And with all of the big names in Boston, and Boggs and Rice and Baylor and Buckner and people like that, you get to watch a Marty Barrett, as we did a Jim Sundberg in postseason last year. Doesn't get the headlines, but boy, are they steady.
Well, they sure are. And of course, I had Bobby Grich as a second baseman. I had Jerry Adair before that, Davey Johnson, who's manager of the Mets. And again, next to Boog Powell's and the Frank Robinsons and the Brooks Robinsons and people like that, they pale. And then Richie Dower, who was very steady, didn't run as well as Barrett, always constantly up there at high fielding percentages. They're unknown, but they're the difference. They turn the double play. They get you out of the big inning if you're a pitcher. And a lot of times it takes, for instance, if you go back and look at the World Series, Dower with a big hit in Philadelphia for us in '83. Again, you think about '83, you think of Murray's couple of home runs and so forth. Obviously very instrumental in winning the series, but Dower with key hits, again, an unsung hero. And that's what Marty Barrett's been able to do. And I think if you talk to anybody in Boston, they'd say he's a marvelous player.
Tonight, Game 4 of the National League, Houston against the Mets. With the Mets on top 2-1, Sid Fernandez going for New York, and Mike Scott for the Astros. 0-1 on Schofield. 1-1 now. Schofield having a good series. Home run last or Friday night in Game 3 that put the Angels in front, and they went on to win 5-3. 2-1. 1 out, bases empty. We're in the bottom of the first inning with no score in Game 5. To center field, and Armas fades. 2 gone.
Of course, a question in everybody's mind is, can Bruce Hurst come back with only 3 days rest for the first time this year? He's done it only once in the last 5 years, every year. Last year wasn't very successful, and I think he can. And again, it goes back to the base on balls. If you're a control pitcher versus a thrower, I don't think the lack of rest hurts you as much. He's going to make good pitches. He made a good pitch there. Got it just enough away where Schofield could get to it and hit it to the deepest part of the park.
Brian Downing at the plate. In there for a strike, and the count is 1-1. Downing, who drove in 4 runs in Game 1, looks in the tie, ball 2. 2-1. And the 3-2 is fouled back. Interesting there last night with 2 strikes trying to go up the middle, but 3-2 here and trying to hit one out.
That's a different situation. And, that's why Brian Downing's had a superb year. A lot of walks, 90, 20 home runs, 95 RBIs.
Fouled away.
So if you talk to hitters, they do have to adjust. They adjust to the count, the situation, and really what the ability of the pitcher is. And again, Downing, he says, well, I mean, you saw the pitch last night, the first swing, as we said, trying to hit it out of the stadium, not just out of the park. And once that happens, you go to 2 strikes, you just become a contact hitter.
Ooh, just inside. Hurst wanted the call. Borderline pitch.
No walks in Boston right here. Good pitch, just off the corner. Doesn't get the call. And Downing, good enough eye to take it for ball 4.
Doug DeCinces, who hit the home run last night that got things started. A moment ago, we showed you the graphic with Hurst, one of 2 left-handers to shut the Angels out this season. The other was Danny Jackson of Kansas City, and in Jackson's game, he had a no-hitter going into the 9th. Angels have had a bizarre year in a way. A lot of dramatic, high-scoring come-from-behind wins. And then a lot of near no-hitters and one no-hitter as Joe Cowley no-hit the Angels here in September. And an odd game in that the Angels scored a run.
The man that broke up 2 of those no-hitters is lying in the hospital, Wally Joyner.
Yep, he broke up a no-hit bid by Walt Terrell of Detroit with 2 out in the 9th in a game in August. And then the no-hitter that Charlie Huff was spinning was broken up in the first half of the season in a game the Angels came from behind to win at a key spot in the season for them. One of those turnaround points. 2-0 the count. 2-2 the count. Downing goes, pitches high, throw is there. And on the 2-2 pitch, Brian Downing is running. The Sensei takes, and Gedman guns down Downing.
Another look at it. I don't believe it's a very good play. You got a home run hitter, a guy without speed, and Gedman, who threw out 50% of the runners right out of the inning.
No score after 1 in Game 5.
Pat Corrales, the catcher, now coming up to bat. Alan Ross been our statistician in this World Series, and Huey McDermott our stage manager. We get the last out, stand by. We'll switch you to the Baltimore locker room. Hit down to Robinson. It's fitting he makes the final out. Brooks Robinson throws him out. Baltimore is the world champ.
I hope so. And could I call in another one of the lesser known of the Baltimore Orioles? And I might incidentally advertise the fact that he's the only bachelor on the ball club, ladies. Cool, Bobby Grich, what does this moment feel like to you?
Oh, it's a great thrill, Chuck. Just tremendous. I just feel privileged to be able to be on the team, one of the greatest teams in baseball right here.
Going to the second inning with no score. Bobby Grich, what about his future? Well, he talked about it the other day.
I think this will be my last games as a professional baseball player. I really think that I'm leaning towards retirement. I'm going to leave a little crack open in that door just in case. But my heartfelt feelings are that this will be my last chance at a World Series, my last few games as a professional baseball player. My career will be winding down right here.
Those are the words of Bobby Grich when we talked to him prior to Game 1 in Boston. Last night's hero, as it turns out. And Jim Rice starts things in the second inning by looking at a strike. 0-1. One and 2 the count.
Rather feeble swing from Jim Rice. You don't see that very often. The reason for that is the curveball in the first pitch. It just sets up the fastball.
And hit into right field for a base hit. Not your quintessential Jim Rice base hit, but he'll take it.
That's what has made him, again, as I said many times, a rare blend between a power hitter and a guy that has a lifetime average of over 300, 324 in this year. He had a good pitch. He's so strong, and you talked about it during the series, that he's basically been a up the middle hitter instead of trying to pull, trying to stay way out of the double plays, and he did it that time, even though nobody was on, obviously. Fought it off to right field for a base hit.
Baylor takes outside, ball 1. I said not the quintessential Rice hit in the sense that he's so big and strong, and when you think about Rice, you think everything's a line drive or a home run. But as Jim said, a good pitch. Went to right field with it and starts the inning with a single.
I think one of the reasons that you see a lot of times, you take a look right there, start him off with a fastball, comes back with a curveball. And again, it's one of the best curveballs in the American League, if not the best. They rate it right up there with Bert Blyleven. There's another one.
1 and 2.
Again, you're into a string of hitters that, as we've said, this is a great home run ballpark in the daytime that have hit so well on the road. Baylor with 31 home runs, only 9 in Fenway Park, 22 on the road. Next hitter in the lineup, Evans, 18 on the road, 8 at home. You get to Gedman, 16, 14 on the road, 2 at home. So second best record in the American League for road teams behind the Yankees, the Red Sox.
And down he goes. So Baylor strikes out. And as McNamara told Don Drysdale during the pregame show, everybody talking about the pitching, but the big problem, getting runs manufactured from the people who are supposed to manufacture them. And there is a look graphically with Buckner having a bad series, and Rice now 4 for 18. Baylor with 5 hits. Evans and Armas both in their own little, what you'd call a mini slump, except a mini slump is really a maxi slump when you have it in the playoffs.
And then you combine the good pitching of the Angels starters. They're holding Boston to 1.84 runs a game, which is under 2 runs a game. So something we brought up at the All-Star game this year, trying to see why the dominance of the National League is basically when you get good pitching against good hitting, the difference comes not in average, because it's almost the same, comes in home runs. And when you looked at that graphic, the one thing you didn't see was there's only 1 home run from a group of home run hitters, and that was in a 2-run home run by Rice. 7-2 lead in the second game. They made it 9-2. So off a guy that came back last night and pitched extremely well, Doug Corbett.
2-1, and Baylor, even though he's been hitting or has picked up enough hits so that his average looks respectable, has not driven in a run in the playoffs. Foul back. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count. 3 balls, 2 strikes the count. So with Evans at the plate, Evans walks a lot. He also strikes out a lot. And Rice is at first base. So let's see what the Red Sox do with Jim. They send him, and it's called strike 3, and he's trapped, but he does get back. He was going, and it stopped, and the throw went down to second. And Burleson had no play back to first base. So Evans strikes out looking, 2 gone.
Well, good base running from Jim Rice. Right there, he takes a look, which is the key to this play. You see the top half of the screen, the throw by Boone. Dwight Evans, of course, interferes with the umpire, and I believe the pitch might have been a little bit above the strike zone. So a break for the Angels.
0-1 the count on Gedman. 0-2. And he gets him, or foul tips, and stays alive. It's a foul tip as Bob Boone started to come up and took a piece of that one, maybe of his bare hand.
Well, it looks like it gets him, because it looks like he's looking for a breaking ball. And again, what makes Witt so tough is he's unpredictable. You really don't know what to look for. He almost throws the fastball right by Gedman. Just hits the top half of the ball.
And then it's ripped down the line in right field and into the corner and gone. A home run for Gedman. One pitch after Witt nearly had him struck out. Gedman lashes one down the line and out of here. And we pointed out that Gedman is a man who hit 2 home runs all season long at Fenway and hit 3 here in 6 regular season games, and now another in the playoffs.
Well, notice the open stance, and that's an adjustment he made a couple of years ago when he hit 24 home runs. Used to be closed, go into the ball. It's worked very well for him, and it certainly worked very well right there.
Armas on a half swing. No. Ball 1. High fly ball. Left center. Downing shielding his eyes. Makes the catch. And the Red Sox are done, but Rich Gedman with a 2-run homer has made it Boston 2, California nothing. And then it's ripped down the line in right field and into the corner and gone. A home run for Gedman. One pitch after Witt nearly had him struck out. Gedman lashes one down the line and out of here. All right, we'll look at the upcoming schedule now in the National League. Houston against the Mets tonight. Scott and Fernandez, night game, 8 Eastern, 5 o'clock on the coast. And then a day game in New York tomorrow that begins at 3 Eastern. Game 5. That's a guaranteed game 5. An off day in this series regardless tomorrow. And then, if necessary, a 6th game Tuesday at Fenway Park. 2-0 on a home run by Gedman. Boston leads bottom of the second inning. And Doug DeCinces with that home run in the ninth inning that got the Angel rally started. Drives one to center. Boy, is he swinging the bat well. And that one is off the fence on what turns out to be a catchable ball as it winds up next to Armis's glove, and a double. Tough play, but Armis was there.
It was there, but the play that Gary Pettis may make, and this is how you win Gold Gloves. He goes back, playing deep. Right now he's thinking about you can see the ball just on the top of the wall. Very, very difficult play. Only the great center fielders make that. Yep. And again, when you're talking about Tony Armis, above average, but they have him in the lineup for his bat. It goes back to something, the obvious part of this game so far is a 2-run home run by Gedman. Take another look at the double off the wall, but last inning, by sending Brian Downing, only 4 stolen bases, been caught stealing 4 times. You take the bat out of DeCinces' hands. 2-2. It's not a hit-and-run situation. You certainly don't expect him to have to hit in that situation. So we see something out of character for Gene Mauch very early in the game. You wonder, up 3 games to 1, is he going to try to maybe manage it a little bit differently?
The replay, incidentally, made it look a little different than it did live on the Armis play. When you sit in the stands and you look from our angle and you watch that play live, it looked like Armis had a pretty good shot at it, and the replay, pretty much with indisputable visual evidence, it was a much tougher play for Tony on tape than it appeared live. That was like, not catchable, so I amend the initial
like NFL
comment.
Talk there.
Right, exactly. Got to handle both things these days. Swing and a miss. So Bobby Grich is down on strikes, and up comes number 44.
And what sets up this pitch, forkball is a high fastball he missed with. Bottom drops out of it. And you can see Grich way out on his front foot, lunging for the ball.
It's funny to see Reggie at 1 for 12 because he's been such an instrumental part of the playoffs. And again, I guess it goes back to one of the things we talked about last night. He's such a compelling figure that even at 1 for 12, we've taken a lot of notice of Reg in the playoffs thus far. 0-1.
Let's be honest, Reggie, with his posturing and the way he is, makes you take notice. He has hit the ball hard, not in the air. He's hit the ball hard extremely often on the ground. But basically, what they're trying to do is make him chase that pitch. And if he swings at that pitch, and he said it, first day they had the workouts in Fenway Park, he says, I will not be successful. And let's face it, this is the ideal scenario as far as Reggie is concerned. Playing in a chance to clinch the first playoff for the Angels. A role, as you said, very familiar with.
2-2. I wonder, though, even if Joyner was in the lineup, if Joyner was at first and Hendrick would be in right, of course, and they normally would go with Burleson. Well, it could be the final game. And the way Reggie's been swinging, Mauch's been happy with that. So is Reggie, despite the 1 for 12. Chris might have made the start anyway today. Up high. 3-2.
He said that's the pitch he does have to lay off. Seeing Reggie over the years, what happens with left-handed pitchers is most of the time he tries to hit the fastball to left field and then wait for a mistake breaking ball. And if he launches one to right field, it's going to be on a high curveball or a forkball that Hurst doesn't make a good pitch on. Otherwise, he's just trying to hit the ball right back at Hurst.
Good breaking pitch. And no argument from Reggie. He got fooled on the pitch and knows it.
You say, why can't lefties hit lefties? In most cases, good ones can, but Reggie has not seen a lot of left-handed curveballs. Hurst has an excellent one. The ball must have broken about 4 feet right in the middle of the plate, but paralyzed Reggie.
George Hendrick, 0 for 9 thus far in his playoff appearances. A little irony with Hendrick hitting behind Jackson. Hendrick and Reggie go all the way back as teammates to 1972 when they played at Oakland. And in Oakland, during the playoffs of '72, that's when Reggie hurt himself against Detroit, couldn't play in the World Series. And it was Hendrick who got 5 starts in that '72 series because of Jackson's injury. Swing and a miss. 0-2. In those days, the A's had Joe Rudy, Reggie, and Matty Alou in the outfield, and then they had to revamp with Reggie's injury, and Hendrick got 15 at-bats against the Reds 14 years ago. Hit sharply, but to Barrett, who cradles the ball and throws him out. So they squander a leadoff double by DeCinces. It's 2-0 Boston as we go to the third. 2-0 Boston as we go to the third inning. And before we do that, let's check in Iceland with Peter Jennings for this report.
Well, the Reykjavik summit is over, and President Reagan has now left Reykjavik. He's gone to the U.S. Naval Air Station at Keflavik to say goodbye to the American forces here, and then he's going to go back to Washington. The Reykjavik summit is over, and it has not ended well. The Secretary of State is still briefing downtown to American reporters, but we can give you some of the headlines. Secretary of State Schultz said to us just a short while ago, we had very high hopes when we came here, and we came very close to realizing them, but we are very disappointed. One of the things he said was that they had come very close to reaching, and he repeated it numerous times, important potential agreements on a number of areas of progress, including considerable enthusiasm, to a somber one as the president leaves for Washington tonight. The Secretary of State said that other issues saw progress, but at the moment it appears to be putting something of a good face on it. Al Michael?
All right, thank you, Peter. As we return to Anaheim, we have 2 out, and the base is empty. What you've missed from here is this. Spike Owen led off in the inning. The count went to 3-2. He fouled a couple of pitches off and then grounded out to second. And then Wade Boggs came up and hit the second pitch on the ground to short, and Schofield threw him out. And now Barrett is at the plate with 2 out and the base is empty. And the count 2-1. So 2 out, nobody on. Top of the third inning, Red Sox 2, Angels nothing on a 2-run homer by Gedman. Mike Witt against Bruce Hurst in Game 5, and the 2-1 pitch chopped over the mound, charged by Schofield, who throws him out. So 3 grounders and a 1-2-3 inning. Red Sox gone in order, and at the end of 2.5, it's Boston 2 and California nothing.
The National League Championship Series, Game 3. It was baseball like it ought to be. Bottom of the 9th, Mets down by a run. The kid they call Nails, Lenny Dykstra, nails a Dave Smith pitch for a 2-run game-winning homer. New York leads Houston 2-1. Game 4 tonight.
Okay, gang, here is our little innovation, our 2.5 inning football ticker. Just to update you, Jets lead New England by 7 in the 4th period. Miami leads Buffalo by 13, and the Cleveland Browns lead Kansas City by 13 in the 4th. Get some other scores in for you as Boone takes outside. Dallas routing Washington. Redskins are unbeaten. Chicago trying to stay unbeaten, leading 14-0, and Atlanta for real leading the Rams by 9. Boone 1-1 now at the plate. New Orleans, Indianapolis, Saints lead by 10. St. Louis leading Tampa Bay by 4, and the Lions 2 touchdowns in front of Green Bay. So stick with us, folks. In another 2.5 innings, we'll update you again. 2-1 the count. 3-1. To deep left field, down the line into the corner, and it is gone. To the chorus of woos. It's 2-1.
expected only 7 home runs, even though he's hitting well in the series. How do you turn a guy that only hit 7 during the regular season with 400 at-bats into a home run hitter? You go behind 3-1. He looks for the fastball. He got it. You can see the end result.
Now Pettis, who's making a bid to be the series MVP, and the count is 0-1. Pettis, who homered the other night, hit his very first right-handed home run off Mike Mason a couple of weeks back, and then he did it again before the season was done off Mason. Base hit. And the Red Sox can't figure out how to get the bottom of the order out.
Again behind in the count. And going right with the pitch, something that Pettis did when he went over Rice's head in left field last night from the other side of the plate. Singles up the middle. 50 stolen bases on the regular season.
Gedman coming back to the plate as Burleson gets ready to stand in for California. Burleson grounded out in the first inning. Rick, who was the Red Sox everyday shortstop in 1975, the last time Boston got to the World Series, now trying to get there with the Angels. Pettis, 50 steals during the regular season.
Well, he's tried twice in the playoffs and been thrown out both times by Gedman. Really look at this as a steal situation. Hurst has a pretty good move. A guy that can handle the bat well with Burleson, who is a better hitter when he does go the other way. Ability to hit the ball behind the runner.
Lays one down. Good bunt fielded by Hurst, has to hurry it and gets it there in time as Barrett covers and Pettis goes to second. Hurst having to come way down off the mound as Gedman remained behind the plate on a play in which oft times you'll see the catcher go out and get this type of bunt.
Well, Burleson deadens the ball very well. Gedman not that quick, even though he has a great throwing arm. Leaves it to Hurst, and Hurst gets the job. And again, if you go back to last night, Pettis with a great sacrifice to get the winning run to second base, the eventual winning run in the 11th inning. And I think Mike Port said it best about Gene Mauch. He very rarely puts his players in positions where they won't be successful. There he knows Burleson can bunt, so let's get the runner over.
Rip caught by Boggs. Boom, boom, just like that. Just reflex, period. Throw the glove up and hope it winds up in there. So Schofield ripping a shot for the second out.
Not promising if you're a pitcher, have a ball hit that hard, but right at Boggs makes an excellent play. A lot of times here in Anaheim you lose the ball coming out of the shirt crowd, especially on a warm day, but Boggs makes a nice play. The intriguing thing about this game, we've heard John McNamara said he's going to go with Al Nipper, who struggled to a 10-12 record. The bullpen really has not done the job for the Red Sox. If they make first work with only 3 days rest, who are you going to go to later in the game? And you have Witt, seems to be throwing well. He's made one mistake, and Gedman jumped in for that for a 2-run home run. So down the road, decisions for John McNamara.
2-1 pitch. Good breaking ball for a strike, and the count 2-2. Fly ball to center field. And a lot of room for Tony Armas. And that's that. So they settle for Boone's leadoff homer, and after 3, Boston 2, California 1. To deep left field, down the line into the corner, and it is gone.
This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
All right, we go to the 4th inning. Dwight Evans was on the team in '75 in Boston and reflects back.
Well, in '75, I'm very excited right now, but in '75, we had such a great team that I figure the next 5 years we're going to be in probably 3 or 4 World Series, the team that we had. And here it is 11 years later, and it's been a long time, but I'll tell you, I've never been more excited and elated just to be here. It's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of hard work, and a team that has played hard together and worked together on and off the field, and just everybody's energy coming in one area and striving for one thing. So it's been exciting.
Evans trying to get back to the World Series for the first time in 11 years. Tomorrow night, Lynn Swann will join Frank Gifford in Cincinnati as the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals a solid shot at an AFC Central Division title. The Steelers staggering at 1-4, and that's our Monday night matchup at 9 Eastern time tomorrow. Buckner to lead off. Buckner, Rice, and Baylor. Fourth inning. Al Michaels and Jim Palmer with you from Anaheim. 2-1, the Red Sox on top. Boston trying to stay alive in the best-of-7 series, and the Angels trying to assure themselves of almost a full week off. The World Series would begin next Saturday in the home park of the National League team. Chopper, Witt, gloves, and underhands.
If you're sitting at home wondering what you do when you clinch it on Sunday and don't play till Saturday, played for 3 teams that won 9 in a row. Play inter-squad games, get your pitching ready. It's a great luxury to have going into a World Series. Set up your pitching rotation just about any way you want it to.
And what was interesting this year too is that all of the playoff teams were able to set their rotations because everybody clinched early. Rice at the plate, 0-1, so the Angels were able to establish their rotation to Mock's preference, Boston to McNamara's, and then they added luxury to have several days before the World Series, and you'd be able to set your rotation perfectly for that.
Well, not to mention that when you play inter-squad games, you have to have pitchers playing the outfield, so I always get a chance to play left field.
And pinch run.
No, I did that during the regular season. Actually, I had it once in an inter-squad game before I think the '71 World Series. Had a home run off Pete Rickard. I was thrilled. He wasn't very happy, but I apologized because it was an accident.
Got him on a breaking pitch, and Rice, who singled in the second inning, goes down on strikes, and that's number 3 for Mike Witt.
Well, not a good breaking ball. Watch the ball hang, and as a hitter, you see the spin, you try to wait, you're out in front. Break of the ball and the speed of the ball makes it very deceptive.
Don Baylor, who's had all kinds of troubles against Witt through his career, he struck out in the second inning. Bobby Grich calls. And since Gedman's home run, Witt has retired 7 straight. 2-1 Boston. Here's the scoring summary. Jim Rice led off the second inning with a base hit, and then Rich Gedman, who came so close to striking out on a foul tip that Boone couldn't hold, hit the next pitch into the right field seats. 2-0 Boston. Then in the bottom of the third, Bob Boone hit one down the line, and so the 2 catchers have hit him out, and it's 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Doug DeCinces drills one to left center field, but Rice flips the glasses down and makes the catch. He just missed it, but DeCinces swinging the bat very well the last 2 days.
See the slight smile on his face. A little bit quick right on the end of the bat. Just up towards the end. He knows he just missed it, and so does Bruce Hurst.
DeCinces hitting a homer last night and a couple of other shots to deep center. Then the double to center the first time and just missing that one.
Take another look at it. First pitch fastball. Just enough away to get it on the end of the bat. You see another strike to Bobby Grich to run the count to 0-2. And if that ball is a little bit more in the middle of the plate, he gets it on the meat of the bat, and the game's tied.
The 2-2 pitch to Bobby Grich. Ooh, just missing. Ball 3-2. And again, for the 3rd consecutive day, a man who is a pretty good fisherman. Behind the shades, the last man to hit 400. 1941, Ted Williams hitting .406. Down goes Grich. So Hurst goes 0-2 on him, then 3-2, and gets him swinging. And Grich, who Hurst referred to as one of those who gives him a lot of trouble normally, has struck out twice today.
It does. Again, the 2-2 pitch makes all the difference. Just misses with that curveball that looked like a strike, and then makes you as a hitter look for both pitches. Look for the fastball, but couldn't catch up with it.
With 2 out of the bases empty, Reggie Jackson. 1-0 the count. Two-0. Yogi Berra, of course, played in only World Series games because there were no playoffs during his career. In for a strike. And so Reggie has had the advantage of the extra games, but still a most impressive mark to tie. Most postseason games. Ripped into center for a base hit. So a 2-out single up the middle for Jackson.
Right fielder, George Hendrick. The last time a strikeout, 3-2 count. Just his defensive swing, trying to make contact, and he does. Single to center.
George Hendrick. And Jackson gets caught off first base. Reggie got caught leaning and couldn't get back, and that's the end of the 4th inning on a pickoff by Hurst. Good move, and Reggie just got caught.
Really no place to go. Only 1 stolen base on the year. Takes him out of an inning where they have a home run hitter up at the plate again.
Still 2-1 Red Sox. In Anaheim, we're going to the top of the 5th inning. Game 5 of the American League Championship Series, and that's what you'll see tonight. Game 4. National League Series. Keith Jackson, Tim McCarver will be at shave for you as Mike Scott goes to the mound. He pitched so brilliantly in Game 1 against Sid Fernandez, and then a day game for Game 5 in the National tomorrow. Meanwhile, here's the home run by Gedman back in the 2nd inning. Ripped down the line and right and out of here. He'll be coming up second as we go to the top of the 5th inning behind Evans. It's Evans, Gedman, and Armas facing Mike Witt. Evans just 2 for 17. So trying to get on track. Struck out in the 2nd inning. Good curve.
That's the best angle to see Mike Witt's curveball right from behind home plate as a hitter does. Saw the first one, he gave a little bit on it. That was a breaking ball, and then he threw him a fastball on the outside part of the plate. Really, other than the one mistake to Gedman, he's been pitching very well. Really, the hit that set up the first run, the Rice leading off the inning with a base hit, it was, as we said, a pretty good pitch.
Down to short, Schofield to Grich. 1 away. Mike Witt has now retired 8 straight, and he has gotten most of the outs thus far today on ground balls, as is customary for him. Gedman at the plate with the 2-run homer. To center field, to left center. Pettis' speed can't catch up with that one, and it's off the fence, and it's Gedman who chugs into second with a double.
Well, he loves to hit here. 4 home runs, 3 in the regular season. The one we saw earlier today here in Anaheim. As we said, the ball does carry in the daytime. Gedman with a home run to left field earlier in the year for a grand slam. This time almost gets another one. See Pettis knows playing shallow. The ball's going to be a double at least. With Gedman's lack of speed, picks it up and holds him at second.
Now Tony Armas, who has not been swinging the bat well at all, flied out to left in the 2nd inning. High fly ball to left field. Downing really fighting the sun. staggering and staying with it and making the catch. Sutter stepping all the way along.
At this particular time, where you lose the ball is really not when it comes down, is when it goes up. That's why he was so unsure of how deep the ball was hit. But what you do is you try to at least get your eyes or your gloves, your sunglasses down, and get some way where you can finally get the ball as it reaches its apex, and then pick it up on the way down.
0-2 pitch is grounded to the right side. Burleson stays with it over to Grich, and that's that for Boston. They strand Gedman, and at the end of 4.5, it's 2-1 Red Sox. Dave Henderson becomes the new Boston center fielder. When Tony Armas chased down that double by Doug DeCinces in the second inning, he was jarred as he hit the fence. He stayed in the game, but he has come out now, and the Red Sox go to Henderson, who's the better defensive outfielder, and they have the lead 2-1. But I suspect Tony would have stayed in for at least one more at-bat had he not been hurt. We'll try to get a report.
Just a reminder, I guess, about it. And you talked about last night, Don Sutton saying you never know about this game. We saw Downing trying to steal early in the game. With Henry Gupp, who you saw the graphic, 0 for 10, not swinging the bat particularly well, but with 14 home runs, Reggie Jackson on first, the guy on the mound with a good move. Reggie's only attempted 2 steals all year long, successful half the time, gets picked off. Been in the game 20-some years.
To shallow left field, Rice gets a very late start and makes the catch. And as Jim mentioned on the fly ball to Downing, hard to pick it up as it's on its way up. And Rice had to hesitate for a moment, saw it, and comes sprinting in and makes a fine play.
Well, he did, and you see the end of the play. Of course, if you go back to last night and a ball that he lost in the lights, which really had a great effect on the game, as you take a look at the play that may have caused Armas to hurt his leg. Again, we're only assuming, but he is out of the game. Look at the supports to the right and left. There's also one in the middle, so he may have bruised his left part of his leg. If you go back to last night's game, Jim Rice, if you take another look, basically he took 2 steps in on that play. His first step was back. Very justifiable. You get burned one time, and again, the package you don't see as well.
With Boone standing in at the plate, it'll look back to his home run in the 3rd inning. Right down the line and out of here. And he hits one into left field for a base hit. And Boone is 8 for 16 in the series. And a man who's just as hot, Pettis, is coming up. Funny game today in the sense that the catchers have been responsible for both runs. One catcher, a left-handed hitter, hits a shot down the line and right into the seats about 4 rows in. The other catcher, a right-handed batter, hits a shot right down the line about 7 rows in. And Pettis squibs it foul, and the count is 0-1. And Boone almost got picked off.
Well, it tells you something about Hurst's move. But again, Boone, one steal attempt, he was successful. He shouldn't be going anywhere. You just don't, other than trying to obviously get to third base on a single or break up a double play. Bob doesn't have a lot of foot sprint.
I think Boone just set the record for shortest lead ever in a championship series game.
Well, the normal lead for an average base runner is like 1.5 steps. I think Bob Boone had taken 1.5 steps, he would have been in foul territory. That's how short his league was to get back to the base.
He's just tied his own record. To center and right to Henderson. And that's out number 2. So Boone remains at first, and now we go back to the top of the order in Burleson, who has grounded out and sacrificed. 1-1 pitch. One hopper fielded by Boggs, and there's the 4th to end the 5th. 2-1 Boston, end of 5, and we'll be back returning to Anaheim after this from your local station.
IBM presents You Make the Call. A batter grounds the ball back to the mound. But look, when the pitcher can't get the ball out of his glove, he throws his glove to first with the ball still in it. Is the batter out? You make the call. Although it might have arrived there in an unorthodox manner, the ball did get to first before the batter, and that's an out. If you said so, then you made the right call.
Well, it's the end of the 5th inning and time for our 2.5 inning ticker. Update you on the NFL. The Jets win, so they're 5-1, and New England is now 3-3. Miami defeats Buffalo, so the Dolphins rebound and hold Buffalo to 14. Cleveland knocks off Kansas City. Browns are 4-2. Dallas shocking Washington, shocking in terms of a 24-point victory. Chicago tries to stay unbeaten, leads Houston. Atlanta knocks off the Rams. New Orleans over Indianapolis by 3. Cardinals get a win over Tampa Bay. Detroit knocks off Green Bay by 7. And Seattle leads the Raiders early. Philly and the Giants, no score. Minnesota, San Francisco tied early. Denver, San Diego tied early. Our 2.5 inning ticker for you. Boggs, 6th inning. 2-1 Boston. Takes a strike. Boggs, Barrett, and Buckner. Hit into right field for a base hit. So Wade, who had grounded out twice, starts the 6th inning with a single.
Well, first 2 outs are on curveballs. First time up, but second time up, another curveball. Look where it is, knee high. That's how you win batting championships. Pings it into right field. They play him around to left. Usually not that pitch, but usually the curveball he tries to wait on. That time he just ripped it into right field. As we said, try to get something started for the Red Sox. Leadoff batters make it much more difficult for the pitcher to pitch.
Barrett lays down a bunt, and it's a good one, and Witt tries to go to second and does, and Boggs can't believe the call. What a gamble by Witt, and it pays off for him, and McNamara comes out to argue. Not a bad bunt, but a great play. Witt quickly off the mound and gets the call at second. Larry Barnett made the call. And naturally in Boston, they're going, oh, sure, Barnett.
The one thing Wade can't do is run. Take another look. I don't really know if he was out or safe. Schofield makes a nice stretch. It's a force play. Throw is low. Like he did have him. Not a great angle. Looks like Schofield receives the ball. You'll probably be able to tell here. Again, it's a force play. All you have to do is catch the ball. Just a second before Barnett made the right call in my estimation.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It's also a headsy play by Witt. As you said, he got off the mound quickly, took one look. We talked about Boggs getting hit in the instep last night, limping around in batting practice. No doubt the difference between being safe and out. That and a great play by Witt.
Got the corner, and Buckner angry over the call.
We've been talking about that all series. You get a couple of extra inches if you catch the ball properly. Look at that ball. It's about 2 or 3 inches outside. Here's Rocky Rowe, a good look at it. Umpires aren't perfect. Real difficult job. Consider that most, well, of course, last night's game, 11-inning game, but a normal ball game, and the only real speed the Red Sox have. If you go back to the amount of pitches, you're talking about 300 to 400 pitches an umpire has to call, so he's going to miss them.
2 balls, 1 strike to count. And now it's 3-1. So now Latchman sends out the signs in third. Buckner checking and watching as Barrett also takes a look at Rene. He is not going, and it's a little squibber. Witt fields again to second in time there, and Witt helping himself for the second consecutive play.
Again, getting off the mound so quickly and charging this slow hopper. Right there, he comes up. He can have a chance to look. He knows he has the out at first, just like he did on the bunt. Perfect throw. Got there in time. A little bit later, probably would have hit Barrett. If you're a shortstop, you want it right about waist high.
And if he'd been sent, the Red Sox would have had a man at second right now. Instead, a man at first and 2 down, and Rice, the batter, singled and struck out. 0-1.
Normally, when you send a guy in that situation as a manager of the Red Sox, you'd be saying, do I think Witt is going to throw a strike? You would say so because he's a control pitcher. Do you think Buckner's going to hit the ball? Yes, because he's a contact hitter. So you're right. Create a situation when you send a runner moving the infielders.
Rice, it's a high fly ball to right field. Hendrick backs up and nonchalantly makes the catch. And that's that for Boston as they waste the leadoff single by Boggs. Still 2-1 Red Sox in the middle of the 6th. Tonight, Game 4, National League Championship Series at Shea, Scott, and Fernandez, and Game 5, a day game tomorrow, 3 Eastern time from New York. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning, Schofield leads off. Schofield, Downing, and DeCinces with Boston ahead 2-1. The Red Sox trying to stay alive. The Angels trying to win the pennant. Liner caught by Owen. One shortstop lining to the other. 1 away. And that's the second time now that Schofield has had a line drive flagged down by a Boston infielder. Boggs robbed him of a hit in the 3rd inning. Robbed him of a hit in the sense that he hit a shot even though Wade was right there. Schofield swinging the bat very well, but he's 0 for 3. Downing with a count 1-0. To center field, Henderson fades, but he's there. He has it. 2 gone. Hurst has given up a total of 5 hits and some shots as well, but he's taken the team into the 6th inning. And you can't ask too much more of a starter. You want him to give you 6 or 7, except in this particular case with Giraldi having pitched last night and the night before as well. And we already talked about the rest of the bullpen. Don Drysdale talked to John McNamara in the pregame show. He said Nipper would be the long man. We're past that point as DeCinces takes a strike. He also mentioned that Sammy Stewart was slightly injured yesterday, and Sammy wanted the setup and would be a question mark. 0-2. So what McNamara would really love, well, he'd love a complete game. That's what he'd really love.
Well, what he'd love is some offense, so it could make it easier for Bruce Hurst. But again, there have been some balls hit hard. First 2 outs this inning, but he's still changing speed. Still not afraid to throw his fastball. First pitch to DeCinces here, the fastball, and comes back with a forkball. So he's pitching. Hasn't gotten away from his game plan. But you wonder about some of those long fly balls the next time around. And I think if I was one of his teammates, and I was a Red Sox, I'd be thinking about that too.
0-2 on DeCinces, who doubled off the wall and then hit one off the end of the bat in the air to left field. And this one is hit in the air to right center field and up the gap for extra bases. DeCinces will pull in at second with a double. Funny, he had a ringing double in the second, just missed his pitch in the 4th. Didn't hit that one particularly well, all things considered, but it carries to the gap, propitiously placed.
And from overhead, can't really see the position, but you see DeCinces go with it. And then the result, fly ball where over Evans' head between Henderson. What that shows me is that he made a good pitch, but his ball's not moving a whole lot. And again, this could be the difference between pitching on 3 days rest and 4 days rest in between.
Rich has struck out twice. 0-1. 0-2 the count. Fastball high. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. With Grich hitting DeCinces at second base. There's Doug, the tying run with 2 down. 2-1 Boston in the last of the 6th. To center field and deep and carrying and the Angels lead. Amazing. And it's a daytime home run in Anaheim. At night, it's in the park by 10 feet. Curtain call.
Another look. It's back real well, and right here the wall comes into play. Ball right in the middle of the glove, and then the impact of the wall. If you're an outfielder, you sense where the wall is, but you don't know when you're going to hit it.
And what's amazing, too, in that replay is that if he doesn't touch the ball, it looks like it's going to hit the top of the fence and stay in for a double.
In all fairness to Dave Henderson, he's fighting the sun. Ball was hit a long way. Again, another look at Bobby Grich, game winner last night. Two-run home run to put him ahead today.
Well, you can't take anything away from Henderson. It was a tremendous effort on his part. It's just an unfortunate thing for Dave and the Red Sox that he winds up actually tipping the ball over the fence, in essence, as Reggie fouls it back. 0-2.
It's really almost all the truly great outfielders that I've ever seen played or played on teams that I've played against or with have an innate sense of where the wall is. You can take that extra step to the wall. You see Reggie go down for the third out.
So 2 runs, 2 hits. The home run, Anaheim Stadium is rocking. And California in another wild one, leading Boston by a score of 3-2. Another look at what may be one of the more memorable plays of the 80s. To center field and deep and carrying and gone. Boy, just off his glove for a home run. Henderson nearly made a spectacular catch as it deflects off his glove and the Angels lead. Amazing. Funny, we were talking to Bruce Hurst. We played the interview before. Who gives you trouble on the Angels? The Sensei and Grich.
Well, we saw 2 home runs earlier in the year. You saw another one just then. But again, you're right in the heart of their Boston lineup now. If you get to the 9th inning, they're going to be batting again. You would think the Angels would have the edge. Donnie Moore did not pitch last night, but he's had a bad shoulder. So it's going to be very interesting. And game is not over. Witt's pitched extremely well. So is Hurst. Obviously, if you're Bruce Hurst, you want that ball caught, but you got to make a great play to catch that ball. Wasn't able to do it, but they're in the game.
And Baylor on a check swing fouls it away. And as McNamara put it earlier, we've got to score some runs. And they've gotten 2 today on Gedman's homer, and that's it. And the big men have still been pretty silent. 2-2. Popped up. Burleson shielding, catching. 1 away.
As the game progresses, Al, the difficult field goes from left to center to right field. Pitched right here one afternoon, same time, maybe an hour later, where I lost the ball game on a ball lost in the sun by Bobby Grich. Couldn't see the ball. Virtually impossible to see it. So sun could still play a factor. You hate to have games, but sun is always an effect if it's as bright as it is here in Anaheim.
And that's popped up. And Boone has a play and has it. 2 down, and now the only man who has solved Witt today, Gedman. A 2-run homer and a ringing double. Ripped into right field. Boy, he's got the secret, doesn't he?
Well,
Homer,
again.
double, stinging single, and he's on with 2 out, and Henderson is coming up.
And if we get another look at it, you'll just see they tried to change the pattern. 2 fastballs for a double and a home run. They come back right here. He swung through a curveball in the first pitch. Watch his breaking ball right in the middle of the plate. Still have to hit it, and Gedman does. Look at that top hand come off the hand. And that's something they teach in Boston. Walt Reniak just feels that allows you to finish with a bat. Real good view of that. And Gedman is hot.
So now Henderson, and remember he's playing center with Armas having banged into the wall. So Armas came out earlier than he normally would have. Henderson in the outfield, and again, if that turns out to be the game-winning hit, that's a replay you're going to see a few times through the years. Strike. And again, a terrific effort. And Jim talking about how difficult it is to pick the ball up, and a great effort by Henderson. He was just very unlucky.
And you think of Dave Henderson in the sense that he's been used in Boston, you think of him as basically a defensive replacement for Tony Armas, which is what he's been used, but 15 home runs on the year, has good power, it's a pretty good hitter. You make a mistake, you'll be trailing by a run here. You're talking about Mike Witt.
1-1. One and two. Down he goes with emphasis. And at the end of 6½, 3-2 Angels.
Well, that's baseball, and it's my game. You know, you take your worries to the park and you leave them there. You yell like crazy for your guys. Good for your lungs. The hot dog at the game beats roast beef at the Ritz. See your own national game beautifully played. Let's all go out to the ball game as often as we can get away next season. For my dough, that's living.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Bob Stanley comes out of the Boston bullpen as he picks up for Hurst. McNamara got 6 innings out of Hurst, and especially in light of the way the 6th inning ended, as you see Gritch's reaction to his home run. McNamara opting to go to Stanley here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Hurst pitched well, but he was not proving to be much of a mystery in the 6th. A couple of long outs, then the double and the home run, and thus McNamara compelled to go to the pen as Hendrick stands in. Hendrick, Boone, and Pettis in the bottom of the 7th inning. Foul back, 0-2. Stanley, who for so many years was the closer, he was the main man out of the bullpen, and now more of a setup man, and he's incurred the wrath of Red Sox fans this year because he's had a lot of trouble.
But he's very much in a position like Doug Corbett was last night, where if he does keep his team in the game, trailing by a run, gives him an opportunity to come back. And it's more difficult to pitch when you pitch infrequently.
Little squibber, tough play for Boggs, bare hands, too late. Best chance would have been for Stanley to field it, but he really had not much of a chance. Started to come down off the mound and then knew it was Boggs' play.
Again, on a slider, which this pitch is, you follow through a little bit more. See, from there he has no chance. He calls Boggs. Henrik still runs awfully well across the bag.
He runs awfully well, but they got a man who runs even better, and so Devon White comes in to pinch run for him. And White will stay in the game in right field. White, who they tell us is as fast as Pettis.
Actually faster from home to third, and that's really saying something. And this is definite bunt situation.
And he does, and Stanley Fields looks at second, throws to first for the out. Barrett covers. Stanley knowing who was running. And Boone gets his typical tribute as he goes back to the dugout.
Well, again, it makes it a lot easier to bunt a guy over if you know he can run. If that was a slow runner, Stanley took the look at second, would have taken the out at second. But White, with his excellent speed, without that, most likely would have had a force at second.
Now Pettis, who has singled and flied out. 3-2 4-2 Angels, bottom of the 7th, 1 out. And Devon White, the runner at second. Oh and 1. 0 and 2. Offers, holds up. 3 and 2 to count.
Well, in talking to Pettis, I said, really a great series. He said, yes. He said, the one thing I'm learning to do is what I can do and what I can't. Struck out 125 times. He said, one thing I can't do is swing the ball up in the strike zone. I just can't hit it. I have to try to discipline myself. And he's been able to do that in this series.
And Pettis is on.
And Stanley's been watching from the bullpen and knows that. 3 and 2, went with a palm ball and missed. So a little bit of respect for Mr. Pettis.
Now Rob Wilfon will bat for Burleson. Wilfon, who had platooned all season with Grich at second, will join around and Grich playing first today. Wilfon bats for the right-hand hitting second baseman Burleson with the righty on the mound right now. Done very well against Stanley through his career, as Mock, I'm sure, knows very well. 0 and 1.
A lot of managers, of course, the first guy you talk about, I go way back, was Earl Weaver. Used to have the computer readout, and then Davey Johnson 2 years ago on the cover of the Mets information guide, a computer and Davey.
There's a chopper toward the middle and through off Barrett's glove. Being waved in is White. Pettis goes to third. Wilfon to second. Angels on what the players call one of those 37 hoppers.
Well, what makes this play difficult is when Spike Owen comes over, I believe Marty Barrett loses sight of the ball. Tough play to make, especially if you don't try to backhand it. You're not trying to intimate that he should have made it. I think Owen just distracts him. The result is the ball goes into center field. Certainly haven't hit Stanley very hard. You have a swinging bunt, a high chopper up the middle. The only really negligent thing he did was the base on ball, and that's because you want to be pitched carefully with only a one-run deficit. Turned out you could be in a big inning situation.
Now with first base open, they have to walk Schofield to try to set up a double play so they can play the infield halfway with Downing coming to the plate. The Angels also benefiting in the last instance from having a couple of guys who could be on a relay team on the bases with White at second and Pettis at first. So White scores, Pettis is at third. Wilfong is at second. And Schofield now at first, and Brian Downing comes to the plate. He's walked and flied to center twice. 1-0. He'll take one for the club again here if he has to. Crowds the plate, and he wasn't necessarily in any hurry to get out of the way of that one.
You can see the open stance, but his first move is with his left shoulder back towards the pitcher. And you compound that with a guy like Stanley, whose fastball runs in on a right-hander. You're going to hit some batters.
Now the pitching coach, Bill Fisher, goes to the mound just to get him calmed down, get him settled down. And again, a couple of squibers. The chopping single by Hendrick. The ground single by Wilfong. There was a sacrifice and a walk in between, and now Fisher trying to settle Stanley down with a count 2 balls and no strikes. When the Red Sox come up in the top of the 8th inning, Owen is due to lead off. Normally they'd go to the bench in this spot, so we'll probably see a pinch hitter, then Boggs and Barrett.
Do you have him taking here, Al? That's the big question. 2-0?
I think I do. The crowd is so into it. The Angels are right on the verge of really breaking it open. They Let him swing, and he lifts it to shallow center. Henderson comes racing in and makes the catch. Pettis tags, and the throw is offline, 5-2.
Fist trying to hit a fly ball. You know it'll score a run. A grounder might turn 2. Now it's up to Dave Henderson. Doesn't make a particularly good throw. I don't really think it would have mattered. Pettis has great speed that we've talked about all series long.
Pettis is one of those guys who could score on a deep infield fly. The Sensei now with runners at first and second. 2 down. 3-run Angel lead. They appeal at third. No. Red Sox hopeful at third base umpire McCoy would give them the call, contending that Pettis had left a little early. Fat chance of that call being made in these circumstances. Made that call, Mock would have managed the rest of this game from the runway. Nice stop by Boggs from his knees to Barrett for the force. But the Angels, who are known for little ball, play the ultimate little ball for 2 in the bottom of the 7th and lead 5-2.
This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Coors and Coors Light. Beers with a difference worth tasting.
Devon White stays in the game for California. He is the new right fielder. And Rob Wilfong stays in the game at second base. As we head to the top of the 8th inning, and the Red Sox go to their bench, Gene Mock has his club 6 outs away from the American League title and a berth in the World Series commencing Saturday. And Mike Greenwell has come out of the Boston dugout to hit for Owen as we start the top of the 8th inning. Greenwell, Boggs, and Barrett. Greenwell, pinch hitting. Spent a good part of the season in the minor leagues. Greenwell came up in game 3, hit for Owen in the 9th inning, and fly to center. Mike Witt missing away, ball 1. 1-0.
Good looking young hitter. About 18 home runs down in Pawtucket. Good hitting ballpark. Walt Riniak, the batting coach, feels he'll right now 280 and about 15 home runs.
Into right center for a base hit and maybe more. Cut off by Pettis, and Greenwell stops it first with a long single. A case there of maybe being a little too conservative. He knows it's a real key situation. And the ball hit very deep to right center field and cut off by Pettis, but he didn't want to take a chance.
That's exactly right. He's thinking 3-run deficit. Why take a chance? It's like getting thrown out at third, leading off the inning with a double.
And Ed Romero comes in to run for him. Not that Greenwell is that slow, but Romero's going to come into the game anyway as the new shortstop, and he's faster than Greenwell, so you might as well pinch run for him here. Boggs is the batter. Boggs is 1 for 3. 1-0 the count.
That's exactly why they bring a runner in like that, but what if he pulls a muscle?
Running for Greenwell.
And then you have to bring a Dave Stapleton. Probably put him at second, put Barrett at shortstop. Of course, you do these things when you're trailing, hoping that they'll turn out in a positive way.
Boggs lays off the pitch, and the count 2-0. Hit sharply to short. Schofield to Wilfong to Grich. Greenwell had gone to second base on that long single. Then there's no double play, obviously.
perfect double play ball. Schofield right in front of it. Wilfong, who just came in, over to Gritch. Perfect. I mean, if you're going to talk about the tailor-made double play ball. Hit by a guy that hurt his ankle the night before, can't run as well, hit sharply to one of the best fielding shortstops in the American League. Easy double play.
Barrett has been silenced today. He is 0 for 3. Takes a strike. It is really an excruciating period of time right now for the Red Sox. What happened last night and what's taking place right now. And most excruciating of all for that man, John McNamara. Half swing pop-up. Wilfong. Woo! He catches it, and the Angels are 3 outs away from the American League pennant as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Ed Romero staying in the game. He is the Boston shortstop as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Gritch, Jackson, and White facing Stanley. 5-2 California in Game 5. And our 2.5 inning ticker: Jets win, Miami wins, Cleveland wins. Bringing the rest between pitches. Dallas beats Washington. Bears stay unbeaten. Atlanta beats the Rams. Saints win. Cards win. So do the Lions. To second. Barrett picks it up. We've seen this before, and the throw just did keep Buckner on the bag. 1 out. Other scores: Seattle leading the Raiders 14-0. Giants 7-3 over the Eagles. San Francisco by 3 over Minnesota. Denver by 3 over San Diego in the second. Reggie 1 for 3. Strike, 0-1. What do you think the premium is on the policy for Reggie's World Series rings? He's 3 outs away from another. 0-2.
You really only get the true World Series win, though, if you win.
Well, he's had a few of
The
those.
other one's a trinket.
And called strike 3, and no protest from Reg. Third time he's gone down on strikes today. 2 gone.
A perfect pitch from Bob Stanley right in the corner. You see Gedman right there. Again, that's what Stanley has to do. Only chance the Red Sox have it. Obviously, down 3 runs. He holds them here in the bottom of the 8th.
Devon White hitting for the first time in the game. Looks at a strike. Red Sox in the 9th have Buckner, Rice, and Baylor. It's where they want to be, but nobody's hitting.
Mr. Witt has something to do with that. Mike Witt with an incredible pitch game. 1 mistake.
Nobody's hitting the whole series amongst those 3 in the sense that the runs have been hard to come by, and the Red Sox have been lacking the big innings. Yeah, that's the way a lot of people in New England feel. Toward the middle, base hit. And Bob Boone comes up with a perfect day going. Home run, single, and sacrifice. Great series for Boone. Great series for Pettis. Great series for Witt. Not bad for the Sensei either. Rich has had some key hits. Schofield done a nice little job as well.
It really is great as Boone has hit. I think the turning point of the playoffs may have been that pickoff throw in the 3rd game. Candelaria on the ropes, an inning they got 3 hits and a walk. Picked off Baylor. Held him to 1 run, and then last night Rupert Jones struggled defensively the third game and the fourth game, a great play on the double.
White goes on a pitch out. The throw is there in time. Boy, I tell you, things aren't coming up roses for the Red Sox, but remember that man, if you will, no matter what happens. Mr. Gedman. It's a pitch out, granted, but it's a tremendous jump by White, and he can fly. And Gedman right there again. We go to the ninth. 5-2 California. In the second inning, Gedman's two-run homer made it 2-0. Boone hit a homer to make it 2-1. Then in the sixth inning, Rich's two-run homer, which is the key play of the game, off Henderson's glove. And then the little ball rally in the seventh inning, netting 2 more for the Angels, and they lead 5-2 as we go to the top of the ninth inning. Buckner, Rice, and Baylor, with Witt on the mound and security at the ready. One and 0 the count. Lisa Witt, hopeful her man can do it again.
For him to do it again, he's going to have to throw strikes. I would assume that Boston would be taking, something that Buckner doesn't do very often. See him right there. Do something to distract with. A lot of times it's more difficult to throw a strike when you know they're not swinging than when you know they are.
2-1. Toward the middle and by the diving Schofield, who just missed it. And Buckner is really hurting. I mean, that's Hobble with a capital H down at first base. And they're going to have to pinch run for him, and Dave Stapleton's coming out of the dugout.
Another look. Wick wants to throw a strike. Schofield, knowing that Buckner can't run, if he does come up with a ball, will most likely have a play.
Running for Buckner, number 11.
Billy Bucks hobbling back the dugout, having done what he's done so often during his career. Get on base. Over 2,500 hits.
So again, the Red Sox are right where they want to be. Man at first and nobody out, with Rice and then Baylor and then Evans. Foul back, 0-1. And the count is 0-2. So great, in fact, there's no beef from Rice.
Again, you've seen the curveball all afternoon. Look at this pitch is. Right on the corner. You see Jim lean over. Doesn't even offer.
Baylor now, 0 for 3. 1-0 the count. One and 1. 1 and 2. 2 and 2. Boom. 3 and 2.
Probably wondering, if you're sitting at home, how he can take this pitch. Very close, just a little bit high. Marky Rowe does a nice job of calling the ball a ball.
To left field, left center, and Dee Pettis goes back, leaps, and she's gone. And it's 5-4. Hits one out. What a great series. Woo.
Again, up above,
doesn't show you that Baylor went out on the outside part of the plate and with tremendous strength. It's a long fly ball. 32nd home run of the year. Pettis with a nice effort. Can't get to it. A little bit up. Most hitters, if they hit a fly ball, the ball stays in the ballpark.
Now you've got Evans, and don't forget, 1 out, and this means that Gedman's going to get to come up again. And Gedman with 3 stinging hits today. He's on deck. Strike.
Oh, look at that home run. Look where the breaking ball. That's almost outside. Now you have to be strong to take the ball that's 2 inches off the outside corner and hit it about 400 feet.
0-2.
The more interesting thought is, if you do get Evans out, 3 for 3, do you bring in Lucas to face Gedman? We know he'll be in if Evans gets on.
Popped up. The sensei calls. 1 out to go. Two down. Bases empty. Gedman. A shot to right for a homer. A shot to left center for a double. A stinging single to right. And Marcel Latchman goes to the mound. And goes to the bullpen. And this is exactly the way Gene Mott would play it under any circumstance. Especially this one. We'll be back. To left field, left center, and Dee Pettis goes back, leaps, and she's gone. And it's 5-4. Moments ago, Witt's departure on tape. Gene Mott, who has to manage logically and not with his emotions, brought Lucas into the game last night to face one batter, Gedman. He struck him out. Here's Gedman. 2 out, 9th inning. 5-4 California.
And going back to game 3, Candelaria having a great night. 2 hits, Gedman got them both to left field. So not an automatic out just because of the lefty versus lefty matchup.
Look out. Ooh, got hit on the hand on a pitch in on him. So Lucas comes in to face one guy because now you've got Henderson, and Gedman gets hit by the pitch.
Center fielder.
And now Henderson's coming up with Moore in the bullpen, and that's going to do it for Lucas.
Looks like right up high off the right arm. A tendency to overthrow when you come in a pressure situation, you hit a batter.
And the drama keeps building. Here comes Moore. 2 out, 9th inning, 5-4, tying run at first. This has been a wonderful game. Donnie Moore out of the bullpen to face Dave Henderson. 1-0.
And Moore, their ace, bothered by shoulder problems, throwing 95 miles per hour the other night with a great slider and an excellent forkball.
In there. They're 2 strikes away. 1-1.
Situation as last night, except obviously the bases aren't loaded. Just threw 2 fastballs by him. What's he going to go? He's going to go with his fastball or his forkball.
Two and 2. Fastball.
The reason I say that, Schiraldi throws the 2 fastballs right by Downing. Everybody's second guessing the breaking ball.
15 home runs on the year, a dangerous hitter.
Still 2-2. The 2-2 pitch. He's alive. It's a long way from Seattle. To left field and deep and down he goes back and it's gone. Unbelievable. You're looking at one for the ages here. Astonishing. Romero swinging and missing. 0-1. Dave Henderson in obscurity in Seattle in August. Playing both ends against the middle in October. Oh.
You have the 2-run home run go off your glove, and then you have a chance to put your team ahead. Smoked a fork ball.
Popped up foul and out of play. Anaheim Stadium was a strike away from turning into fantasy land. And now the Red Sox lead 6-5. The Angels in the bottom of the ninth. Boone, Pettis, and Wolfond. 2-2. Oh, these games at Anaheim. Unbelievable. In the gap toward right center field, racing over his White, makes the catch on the run. But the Red Sox get 4 in the ninth on a pair of 2-run homers by Taylor and Henderson. And the Angels come up in the bottom of the ninth with Boston on top 6-5. Of course, here, take a look back at Henderson. Deflecting the ball over the fence for a home run. The play of the series. And then 2 out and 2 strikes. And out of there. In the bottom of the top of the ninth inning. Oh. Second only to Fisk in the minds of everybody in New England. Oh, just astonishing.
They got him for his defense. Was unable to come through with it on a very tough play. And then at the most needed time of the year. Now look at the home run. 2 fastballs by him, a forkball. Very similar to what happened in New York yesterday. Lenny Dykstra off Dave Smith. Forkball for a 2-run home run to win. This one doesn't win it, but it puts him ahead.
So we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Bob Boone, Gary Pettis, and Rob Wilfong. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer with you from Anaheim. Boston on top, 6-5, as Boone takes low, ball 1. And what sweet satisfaction it would be if Bob Stanley could close the Angels out of the bottom of the 9th after the year he's had. In there, 1-1.
What is really in baseball, I guess, vernacular to become one of the oldest cliches, is never over until it's over, is true. You can almost talk about anything when you're talking about it's never over till it's over, but what is true about baseball, that it isn't over till you get 27 outs and have a lead. Johnny Moore 1 strike away last night, same thing with Schiraldi. Bob Stanley needs 3 outs.
And a base hit to left center field, and Henderson has to chase it down in the gap, and the Angels have the tying run at first. Boom, boom, boom. A perfect day for Bob. And Rupert Jones, so they'll root for Roop and Boone for Boone as he comes off. Rupert Jones is the tying run at first base.
Rupert Jones running for Boone.
Gary Pettis, single, flied out, walk. And up there, you'd have to field to bunt. Rule of thumb, generally, you play to tie at home to win on the road in a situation where you're down by a run. Rule of thumb.
Pettis a good bunter, but also great speed, so it makes the defensive a bunt a little bit more difficult. Stapleton at first instead of Buckner. Romero at short instead of Owen.
Outside, ball 1. 1-0. Look at the way that flag and flagpole create that wavering shadow in front of home plate. Pettis lays down the bunt. Stapleton fields, throws to Barrett. They get the out. The tying run is at second, and Jones 1 away here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Wilfong coming up, and McNamara had started out, turns, has another word with Fisher, and now he's on his way to the mound. And it's interesting, in that shot from above, there's a flagpole and a flag on top of the stadium, and there it is. And what about distracting the hitter here, Jim?
Well, it certainly does, and that's something they could change. You certainly can't change some shadow situations. Bob Stanley runs off the mound, but that could be changed.
They'll go to the bullpen, and I believe it's Schiraldi coming out of the shadows. It is Sambito who comes out of the bullpen. The bullpen in the deep recesses, deepest, darkest left field, and you can't tell who's throwing down there. And for the moment, it's only Crawford throwing, and Sambito, the lefty, was up, and there is the Boston pen. And no sign at the moment of Schiraldi. They had Crawford throwing, but he's not going to come in this situation. You wouldn't feel or think. But then again, with Sammy Stewart hurt and Schiraldi having pitched last night, what McNamara needs here is for Sambito just to take care of the left-hand batting Rob Wilfong. As you see Bobby Grich. The Angels, if you're wondering, cannot go to the bench for a right-handed pinch hitter because they have none. The only people left are Jerry Narron and Jack Howell. And their other, remember, on the 24-man roster is Wally Joyner. All left-handed batters, and Joyner is still in the hospital. Wilfong has done very well this year against left-handed pitchers. Terrible lifetime. Jones, the tying run, is at second base.
With good speed.
1 out. Boston ahead, 6-5 at the bottom of the 9th inning. Hit sharply by Barrett for a base hit. Evans can throw. Jones is coming home. The throw home is there. No, he's safe.
Play, as we said, Jones with great speed, Evans with a great arm. Gedman makes a great catch of this. The ball short hops him. Great slide by Jones. He doesn't go to the outside. I doubt if he'll get to the plate.
And McNamara to the mound and to the bullpen again.
Again, Zampino, success story of some sorts during the season, but not today. Belt high in the middle of the plate. Once again, you see Evans throw. It's a strong one. Right there. Ball short hops him just a little and a fantastic slide. By the time he gets to him, he's already across home plate. Another angle on that slide.
I'm thinking of Sundberg in the World Series last year.
Again, as we said, the throw short hopped him, so he can't bounce a little bit early. He might have been able to get a little bit earlier. Another angle. Ball bounces up a little bit. Right there, he's trying to get control of it. Jones with a great slide.
Now the Red Sox are faced with a dilemma in which Steve Crawford, who has not pitched in this series, who is only eligible for the playoffs because Seaver wasn't. Seaver was the choice. Here he comes into a situation in the 9th inning. And I guess what we're being told here is that Stewart can't pitch. And the last two nights, especially last night, have just taken too much out of Schiraldi.
That's definitely the message I'm getting. Sammy Stewart with 12 innings in postseason play, never been scored on. Apparently, from what we heard, was hit with a line drive, or again, we don't know what the injury is in the pregame practices yesterday. Crawford on the disabled list on July 18th when they called up Calvin Schiraldi. The reason Schiraldi came to the big leagues back in September, and as you said, because of the injury to Seaver, is on the active roster. Hurt his shoulder, which is what the disabling injury was.
Dick Schofield 0 for 3 plus an intentional walk. So the winning run at first base. The pennant is at first base. Wilfong. Steve Crawford, who last picked last Sunday against the Yankees. 0-1.
Well, one thing that Steve Crawford has always been able to do is throw hard. What's gotten him into trouble is a little bit of wildness. Fastball slider pitcher, and really right here, if he gets the ball over, there's a good chance of being successful.
1-1.
Wilfong attempted to steal 5 times at first. He was only successful once. Not a good base stealer, but he is the type of guy that can score from first on a double. Better than average speed once he gets going.
Hit to right, base hit. Wilfong goes to third. The pennant is 90 feet away.
Well, Schofield really uses the bat well. His average has gone from 193 to 219 this year, 248. Ins outs, inside outs it. Stapleton at first has no chance. Overhead view of Wilfong on his way to second, eventually ending up at third.
those situations, even though the double play is in order with your middle infielders, you don't play back. You have to play in. They may even walk the bases loaded, which is what they're going to do.
And that's what they'll do. Setting up the force at home, and the sensei coming up.
It also sets up, and it's one thing that I hated to do in a base-loaded situation, it sets up a situation if you do get behind a hitter, you have to throw a strike.
And it sets up a situation where you have to throw a strike, and it's a man who hasn't been out to the mound in 7 days and has pitched so sparingly in the last couple of months. So they're loaded up. 1 out. And Doug the Sensei coming to the plate. Infield in, outfield in. He gets a fly ball deep enough, and that's that.
What you're doing if you're an outfielder is you're playing at a depth shallow enough where if you catch a line drive, you feel you can throw the guy out at home plate.
Wilfonger's tagging, but it's just a shallow fly ball. Evans makes the catch, and they can't take the chance. 2 down. Gigantic out. Infield now goes back to normal depth. Outfield plays at normal depth. Gretsch comes up.
That was a classic confrontation. Fastball pitcher against fastball hitter. Fastball pitcher wins.
Who hit the home run off Henderson's glove. This whole ride we've been on today belongs at Disneyland. Oh, this game. One and done. Griggs pointing toward the outfield. Some reflection or something out there.
Just another look at that pitch. Ball runs a little bit inside. See Gavin going inside. They want to pitch, and then he moves away. Ball 2. Not an easy situation. Gritch most likely will be taking. Crawford knows he has to throw a strike, hasn't been able to do it. Can you aim it right for the middle of the plate, try to throw it really with the most relaxed way you can possibly throw it with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
2 and 1. Barely won. 2 and 2. Broken bat caught by Crawford. We go to the 10th if you can take it.
Most likely just trying to throw a strike. Watch the ball run in. Gritch hits it way up on the label of the bat. Nice play by Crawford for the final out of the inning.
Oh boy. We go to the 10th. ABC News special, the Collapse Summit with Peter Jennings. That is scheduled to be seen at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, or about 48 minutes from now. And at 8 Eastern time, Houston against the Mets. It's Scott taking on Fernandez as we go to the 10th inning in this classic 5th game. Tied 6-6. Boggs, Barrett, and Stapleton, with Buckner out of the game, facing Moore and a new catcher for the Angels, Jerry Narron. And time was called before Moore delivers. One and oh the count. Peter Gammons, the great baseball writer now with Sports Illustrated, wrote a great book, Beyond the 6th Game, talking about the 75 World Series. We're ready for the sequel, Beyond the 5th Game. 2-0 the count. And through it all, Wally Joyner watches from a hospital bed. But they think he's ready to play Tuesday, as he's responded well to the antibiotics, if there is a Tuesday. Well, there'll be a Tuesday, of course, but will it be in Fenway? 3-1. And Boggs is on. So Donnie Moore, who has been erratic this year, the ace of the bullpen last year, but shoulder troubles this year, the 3 cortisone shots, which is a big number. 1 is a big number for a pitcher.
To some, yes. They don't feel particularly good. You hope they'll do the job, but obviously a bunt situation. Also, Marty Barrett handles the bat so well. Last time we had this situation, Boggs, because of being hit last night, was thrown out on a nice play by Mike Witt. So a lot of things can happen.
Barrett at the plate. Bunts toward first. Grich goes to second in time there. So Barrett lays it down, but the Angels execute perfectly, and Boggs is again thrown out at second base.
Not a particularly good bunt, a little bit too hard. Again, Bobby Grich comes in, knows the bunt is on. Pick up and a strong throw to second to get Boggs the lead runner. Again, as you said, has to be executed perfect, or you have the first and second situation, nobody out.
Now Stapleton, who came up only 39 times all season. Oh, and 1.
Hasn't been up much, but Moore, who really mystified me with the pitch to Henderson. He threw him 2 fastballs right by him that Dave just had barely had a chance to get his bat on it, and then went to the fork ball, and he hammered it for the home run. So with Stapleton, he's a good hit and run man. And you have Barrett, who can run it first, 15 stolen bases. May not steal in this situation, but if you're John McNamara, you want to maybe have some infielders moving and make something happen.
Barrett at first. 1-1. You know who leads off for the Angels in the bottom of the 10th? Reggie. Who wrote this script? The 1-1 pitch is toward the gap in right center for a base hit. Barrett around second on his way to third. The throw is there, but too late. Stapleton of the 128 average with a single to right.
A strong throw from White and right. Barrett with good speed gets in under the tag. In a situation where you really don't know how well Moore's shoulder is, how well he's throwing. You take a look from up above. Strong throw. He can afford to do this because he just about hits the cutoff man, and if you don't get the out in third, you're in a position to keep the runner at first and keep the double play in order. Rice not hitting very well during the championship series, but .324 in the year.
And he hits a grounder to short, and Schofield shovels to second and back to first. Double play! career, but it cut down during the regular season. Hits into one at this time. And now to the bottom of the 10th. This crowd is wrung out. I mean, they are wrung out.
I'll tell you something. If Reggie hits one here, I'll never miss another playoff game in my life. Yeah. Which is amazing.
1-0. It's quieter than it would normally be, and it's simply because, as I said, this crowd is absolutely wrung out. Two and one.
Be interesting here. 2-1. He hasn't had a great year, but walked a lot. Will he take the walk? Gets presented.
2-2. Three and two.
Now look how far Gedman is outside, and he hits his glove, but you got to give Rocky Road some credit. From this angle, it looks like the ball is just a shade off the corner. Tried to cheat a little, didn't get the call.
3-2 to Jackson. Hit on the ground down to Barrett. Gathers it, throws him out. So Reggie is gone. The first out in the bottom of the 10th inning. And Devon White comes up. Devon White was a guy who was called up the day before. You had to be called up to become eligible for postseason play. So he spent most of the season in the minor leagues. 1-0 the count. One and one. And he thought about laying one down and takes a strike in the count. 1-2. Foul back. White spending the year at Edmonton. 14 home runs. First time since '69. 2 consecutive games into extra innings, and that was the first ever ALCS, Baltimore and Minnesota. Got him. 2 down. Steve Crawford. Boy, this is why not only is this game, the whole game itself, so great, and why so many of us love this sport, but Steve Crawford, who only appears here today because Seaver's knee doesn't respond in the least likely of situations. And here he is with the pennant on the line and pitching well. Narron, low, ball 1. 1-0.
Getting out of that inning has allowed Crawford a little bit of, I guess, leg room, so to speak, using more pitches. There's a 2-0 changeup that just misses. Seen the curveball, seen the fastball, so you come in, bases loaded, winning run on third base, and you go 2-0. Pretty much have to throw something you can get over. Now he's using all his pitches. The shadows have crept out between the pitcher and the hitter.
And he walks Narron. So Narron carrying the pennant in his back pocket. Trots down to first base, and Gary Pettis having a great series coming up. Bill Fisher will go to the mound. Time call. Fish going to the mound. Again, we mentioned it the other day on the subject of control, and since Crawford has now thrown 5 consecutive out of the strike zone, there is no better master than a very likable pitching coach of the Red Sox, who holds the major league record at 84 1/3 consecutive innings without a walk. Now in the bullpen, activity now for the Red Sox as Tim Lawler gets up, the left-hander. And Lawler throwing in case McNamara wants to bring him in to face, you tell me, Wilfong? I guess.
Did that last time in one pitch.
I can't imagine.
For a base hit.
I can't imagine bringing Lawler in. The 1-0 pitch hit foul, and the count 1-1. Interesting too that Schiraldi has not gotten up, because he pitched Friday, and then last night he was on the mound. Schiraldi working the 9th, 10th, and 11th.
We do have a pitcher out there with a lot of experience on the right-hand side, Al Nipper. McNamara said that he thought he would go to him early.
The 1-1 pitch. 1-2. Another reason for Schiraldi is the crowd barks about the call. And unless it's something physical that I'm not aware of, McNamara too could be thinking, hey, he's got a brilliant young prospect in Schiraldi who was just shattered by what happened last night. And if you came in and you lost this one, that's something that could linger for a long, long, long time. Just some food for thought. Two and two. Full count, and that means Marin will be running with a pitch. And that could be a significant factor on anything hit to a gap.
Also, as a pitcher, you want to throw a strike here. You take a little bit longer to release the ball. Gives Aaron an extra step or two, and sometimes it does make a difference between attempting to score and holding up at third.
Aaron goes, and Pettis fouls it back. Aaron goes. It's hit in the air to deep left field. Deep left field, right to the fence, and he makes the catch and had to look down to make sure. Film at 11, and the highlights will last until 1:30.
We talked about playing a little bit deeper. You can see how deep Rice is. Back, back, back. At the wall, makes the catch.
To the 11th. If you've missed it, all right, graphically we'll show you what's been happening here. Descriptively, well, they can write books about this baby. Take a look. Boone 2-1, the home run in the third. Rich's homer made it 3-2. 2 runs in the 7th for California, 5-2. The classic top of the 9th. Baylor, a 2-run homer. Henderson with 2 strikes and fouling one off, a home run. The tying run in the bottom of the 9th. Lefty against lefty, Wilfong off Sambito. Rice hits into a double play in the top of the 10th and then goes back and makes the catch at the wall in the bottom of the 10th. And we go to the 11th. Baylor at the plate. 1-0. In there. 1-1. And he got hit. And again, he's the all-time American League leader, so nothing new. 35 times during the regular season. And he's got that down to a science.
He doesn't. Actually, that's one of the few times you will not see him roll into a pitch that he's going to be hit by. Normally, he just takes it on the shoulder, trots down to first.
That's the
good way to get on base, sometimes painful.
Evans now, and DeCinces has to keep him honest by playing up at third. But Evans up there to swing away, in for a strike. 0-1. That's where Doug is. And a look at the rest of the infield positioning, with Grich holding Baylor on at first. 1-1.
The reason you most likely will not see the Red Sox bunt here is because if you do sacrifice with Evans, they walk Gedman, pitch to Romero, who's come in to play shortstop for Spike Owen. You take the bat out of Gedman's hand.
Off speed, and the count 1-2.
Well, that's the same pitch that was hit for a home run, and after watching Donnie Moore pitch into his part of his third inning, really does not have a good fork ball, doesn't have command of his breaking ball. Looks like he has good velocity. You're sitting on the Boston bench watching him pitch, which is what you do if you're a hitter. You expect that he may not throw very many quality breaking balls over.
Toward the middle, through, base hit. Baylor, short turn, holds at second. Pettis bluffs throwing behind him, gets it back in. First and second, nobody out. The crowd getting on Donnie Moore's case, and that's a crowd reaction anywhere when the closer can't close.
Well, they booed him after the home run to Henderson. And Evans just hitting the ball back up the middle. Nobody plays there, into center field.
Now you have Gedman. Homer, double, single, swinging the bat exceptionally well in a bunt situation. If he lays it down in second and third, then Henderson is on deck, and if you walk him, then you get to Romero with one out, which is not where McNamara necessarily wants to be. The other side of that coin is if Romero pops out, strikes out, hits into a fours at home, you have Boggs, and all these things have to be thought about right now, and the Angels have to talk about it defensively. How to play the infield, what happens if you bunt. So DeCinces goes to talk to Schofield. Latchman comes to the mound. They've got Lucas in the bullpen, and the wheels keep spinning. And Finley, I beg your pardon, is in the bullpen. Lucas came in before the other left-hander. Chuck Finley is in the bullpen. I think what Latchman is saying here, too, is he wants to check out Donnie Moore's condition, which is why he goes to Rocky Road to say, I'm only talking to him about how he is, and thus Rowe has just given McNamara the safe sign, and what that means is that is not an official visit to the mound. And that's why Rocky eavesdropped on the conversation to make sure that Latchman was only talking to Moore about his physical condition. That's all. Now, Gedman is at the plate. First and second, and nobody out. And the Angel infield has to protect against the bunt. At least the possibility thereof. And he's around a bunt. And he bunts in the air up the line, and it's a fair ball. DeCinces fields and pulls Wilfong off, and everybody's safe. And the Red Sox get a huge break on a bunt in the air that drops, has to be played, and everybody is safe.
What happens is the doubt in their minds allows this poor bunt to fall. You're playing in, it could be a double play. Doug knows it's not going to roll foul. Makes an off-balance throw. It's a bad one. Bases loaded.
And Wilfong off the bag. Now Henderson comes up, and here he was in the ninth inning. The Angels were a strike away. The crowd all standing. And standing in disbelief. And it's drilled to the gap in left center field, deep enough to score a run. Pettis makes the catch. Baylor tags. Red Sox lead 7-6.
Shortstop.
Driving in the go-ahead run, and Romero comes up.
Certainly wasn't patient, but he got a pitch that he could fly out on, hit it well, got the run in.
Just to make it official for you, they've given Gedman a bunt single, base hit. He's 4 for 4 today. And Romero hits one to deep left field. And Romero, and what a catch by Building! And the runners have to get back. Are we really seeing this game?
Every time you think something greater can't happen, this is, I mean, a fabulous catch. He's playing shallow. Romero doesn't have a lot of power. To the warning track, doesn't really care where the fence is, if you know Brian Downing. Catches it, hits the support.
And Laxman goes to the mound, and they go to the bullpen. And that's it for Moore, and they'll shower him.
This is like a great heavyweight fight.
And a team with Moose and Root and Boone. And maybe they're going Moore, but you know they're not. 7-6 Boston. Chuck Finley comes out of the bullpen to face Wade Boggs. 2 on and 2 out in the top of the 11th inning, and Boston on top 7-6 in game 5. Another look. Described him before as a linebacker type outfielder, and as Jim said, he doesn't care where the fence is. That's why I love Downing. You see him make that play a lot, or try to make that play a lot. Boggs. 1-0.
Finley has a great arm. Well in the 90s, threw it right by Boone last night. The ball just moved a little bit. Good curveball. They called him up in the minor leagues. Done a nice job.
Hit sharply. Great stop by Wilfong. Throws it out. Oh, sure. Just another routine play.
Look at it once again. 3-2 down the middle. Boggs hits it right on the nose. Another topper. Dives to his left. Sees he has it. Throws him out.
Boston 7, California 6. Wilfong to lead off in the bottom of the 11th. Well, the call has gone out for Calvin Schiraldi, who had not been up and then started to throw when the Red Sox got the lead in the top of the 11th inning. And Crawford came on in relief and did a great job extricating the Red Sox from the situation in the bottom of the 9th, working the 10th, and now it's Schiraldi who comes up and out of the bullpen. Meanwhile, Houston and the Mets in game 4 at 8 Eastern time. Or what are we talking about? About an hour and 10 minutes. Just the second game of the doubleheader. So here's Schiraldi, who got a rousing welcome when he came on from the fans, who remember last night, something that Schiraldi would like to forget about. And this will certainly help to ease whatever emotional pain would linger to get the Angels out of the bottom of the 11th.
Well, most managers, when they have a stopper that fails, they'd like to get him back out there to reestablish his confidence. And I really look at last night as something that, I guess on one hand, could be devastating to a lot of Red Sox fans, obviously to the Red Sox because they lost the game, but it's also a learning experience. Tried to make a great pitch with the second pitch, wasn't able to do it. Might have learned a lesson from it. It's been the stopper all year. Certainly is a stopping type of situation.
Rob Wilfong, who made the great play, tries to bunt his way on. 0-1. Wilfong pinch hit for Burleson and singled, a little squibber up the middle, and then got the base hit to drive in the tying run in the bottom of the 9th.
perfect situation for a power pitcher. He's standing in the sun, the hitter's standing in the shade.
1-1.
One of the keys, of course, is just to get the ball over, make your pitches. You'll see Gedman basically sit in the outside part of the plate against the left-handed hitters. Schiraldi tried to hit him.
1-2. We mentioned it on the pregame show, and worth stating again with Schiraldi. Great style and class, and if you watched last night's game, you saw him just shattered in the dugout. But in the clubhouse, talked to all the reporters, and gets Wilfong here. And a lot of people talking about Schiraldi's class act after the game. Deborah Schiraldi as wrung out as everybody else in this throng of 64,223.
Throws it right by him. Late swing. Really a chance for redemption. Chance to come back out and do what he tried to do last night. I think he's pretty thankful just to have the opportunity to be in this position.
Schofield now. 0-1. Two now. Two out.
Once again, back to the fastball. Hard to see. Right in Rich Gledman's glove. Once again, the Angel hitter just couldn't quite get to it.
Time called. Seat cushions coming out to Evans and Wright.
You go back to last night. It's interesting when talking to Downing, he said Schiraldi's always pitched me that way. Except last night he reversed the way he did it. In other words, starts him out with breaking balls and then goes to the fastball. Last night threw him a fastball right by him and then hit him with what turned out to be, I suppose, would be a very memorable pitch.
I don't think we'll see a 1-2 curve today. 1-1. Two out, bases empty, bottom of the 11th inning. 7-6 Boston. Two and one. If Downing keeps it going, DeCinces on deck. Two and two. Still 2-2. Popped up. Here comes Stapleton. Next plane to Boston. Dissolved to last night. Moments ago. The only shocking thing about this game is we didn't have a triple play. You saw everything else. Thanks to Alan Ross, Steve Hurt, Al Michaels, Jim Palmer saying so long from Anaheim. ABC's coverage of the American League Championship Series has been brought to you by the heartbeat of America, Today's Chevrolet, by IBM and the growing family of IBM personal computers, and by RCA technology that excites the senses. Tuesday, Game 6, Boston again today in one of the all-timers. The Red Sox win it by a score of 7-6. Stay tuned for ABC's World News Sunday. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. Nobody knows Hawaii like United. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.
The Angel Red Sox series was so fabulous in so many ways, and the Game 5 was just, it was epic. And the signature of my career is always going to be Lake Placid. But the most fun I've ever had doing a game in any sport was the 5th game of that series.
To left